Aficionados live right here on Thinking Critical YouTube. We're going to geek out with all the good people that we can, talking about comic books this Saturday morning. We got a lot of fun people, got a really great panel. Hope everyone had a fun free comic book day last weekend, but it's time to get back to the regular stuff. We do have a couple of people making their very first appearance on Thinking Critical here on the Comics Aficionados. First up, we've got from Weird Science, Jim. How you doing, Jim?
Doing great. Can't wait. Yeah, big fan. First time, long time, I think is what I'm supposed to say here, right? Isn't that the entry in? I thought so, but yeah, thanks for having me.
Glad you could make it. So what are you guys doing at Weird Science? Obviously, you have the podcast. Is there anything else that people should be looking out for Weird Science as far as comic books?
Pretty much just the podcast. We have the DC podcast. We have the Weird Science Marvel Comics podcast. And then we have a manga podcast as well. So we have all of that stuff going on. Too much stuff is what we have going on, I believe. But that's about it. Easy. Look up Weird Science Comics and you'll find all the things that we do.
Absolutely. I know exactly what you're talking about with too much.
Yeah.
It become a lot of work. Also making their appearance the first time ever, Eric O'Sullivan. We've got the Sultan of Soup himself. What's going on, Eric?
Sultan of Soup. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Wes. I'm so thrilled to be here and be part of it. I love being part of the conversation and I love talking about comic books. I think I'm best described as I am the lapsed fan. Seriously, I was a weekly buyer, and then all the shenanigans, and then the needle moved, and now I don't buy comic books anymore. But I love talking about comic books. I talk about comic books every day.
Very nice. And you also have a YouTube channel, but you can get more than just comic book and nerd talk there. You can find good soup du jour recipes.
Yeah, I'm a professional chef. I share my cooking hacks with you so you can make delicious, nutritious, and beautiful food for your loved ones. And I do is the soups. They get these shorts. They're so popular, and I'm like, wow, they blow away everything else I do. Like I do a daily comic book thing, and I'm happy if that gets like 15 views, but then I get about like 2K on a soup, and I'm like, whoa.
There are many more fans of soup in the world than there are of comic books. Let's be honest.
Yes, this is true.
Fuck soup.
I'm a soup aficionado, man. I love soup.
I think I was lost at the nutritious part of it. That's the only thing I can't say.
No. Fuck soup. I don't eat my beverage and I don't drink my food. It can't decide what it is. I have a fundamental philosophical issue with fucking soup.
Wait,
no soup for you.
So what if you have a really thick milkshake? You don't use a spoon? You're just gonna let it sit and melt?
No, I'll drink it.
But you can't
what if
drink
it
it.
gives you a headache or you like mess up your jaws trying to suck it through? You know, sometimes it's
what if you just went to the dentist, man?
What if you went to Arby's?
Exactly.
Well, then I'd have to call Perch and ask for his advice.
All right, Doc, is chili a soup? Do you not like chili?
Chili is not a soup. It is just a mush. Kind of like Indian food.
Like a stew almost.
It's not
what
a
do
curry.
you think about like shepherd's pie and stuff like that?
Shepherd's pie is much more dense and there's less.
Yeah, it is more dense. I know. I was just trying to next level it.
Doc doesn't like chili. He's not American, is what I'm saying.
I love chili.
I'm curious as to what chili he's had. If he's like, it's just a mush. I'm like, come to Texas.
Come to Texas.
Chili.
Come to Texas.
Oh, no, I've had plenty of Texas chili. It's great. It's not soup, though.
Yeah.
It's food. It's
If
just
you would've-
wet food.
Nourishment.
You would have let me throw down bets on what was going to happen in the first 5 minutes. I didn't take Doc healing out on soup.
That's not on my bingo card.
Let's go full Ric Flair on soup, Doc.
Just jack it off right now.
So we do have some panel regulars joining us as always. We do have Yule Carter from Fantastic Comics in Berkeley, California. How you doing, Yule?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me on. Looking forward to talking about a slowish week in comics.
It was a slowish week, but it was a big week for Pokemon Go. What'd you find this week?
Just that I just got a Goldeen that was 14, 15, 15. That's pretty awesome.
So I hear like you're the leader of a Pokemon posse, and you guys like go around the digital streets and fight other gyms.
No, that there is a way to do that. I'm not too big on that. It's the Discord is what I was telling you. People get together on Discord and they meet up at the 7-Eleven and the cross section of the street in the city and whatever, and then they go to a park or something like that.
And they rumble.
and they rumble. They take their
When they
phones
remake
out.
It's
Stand
like
By
the
Me,
Outsiders.
It's so different than it was back in the day. The kids are going to be playing Pokemon Go and Discover a Body. And
I tell you what, that's not that
Dead
sounds
Snorlax.
perfectly understandable. I would the one thing I say is this is a video game that actually gets you out of your house, and even though you're still on your phone, there's the whole the AI, not AI, the whatever it's called, the immersive blah blah world,
Augmented reality.
That's it, augmented reality, and it's pretty awesome because I augmented reality. It's playing a part in your. I'm hearing an echo. I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop talking now. Fuck Pokemon.
I want to know about augmented reality. I mean, I started
Jeez.
thinking we were going through the Matrix or something here with this Pokemon
I
Go.
want to know more about like shivving each other to try to get a
Yeah,
Pokemon,
exactly.
yeah,
and like whether or not somebody's ever like
they're like out there
accidentally,
dancing and snapping at
Oh, yeah,
each other.
yeah, like
Could
fucking
have a
the
rumble.
Outsiders and
No,
shit. Like
Well, I
They're-
mean,
they
there
ended
are
up
the
going
different-
West
yeah.
Side.
Pop.
Well,
Jesus.
I can't really see you'll go in West Side Story on some Pokemon.
He's
but
passionate about Pokemon.
More
Although
Wes,
I-
Wes, I could definitely see you.
Oh, absolutely. And I think you're talking to the wrong audience. I just don't think a lot of the thinking critical people are like, yeah, let's get outside. You know what I mean?
Let's get
I
outside.
think we're an
Yeah,
inside kind of
exactly.
thing.
Nutritious food outside. I'm in the wrong place.
Nutritious, delicious, and beautiful food. I
Is there a way to do Pokemon Go in the house?
Yeah, there is a little bit, but I mean, it's not as fun. And I like the idea, like you'd go by a cemetery and you would find like ghost type Pokemon over there. That's pretty sweet. If you're by
Very
a
nice.
waterway, there's more water Pokemon, and just reasons to go to different places in your town that you may not have gone to. And on top of that, they will have like monuments, like that's where the Pokestops will go. And then you clue on them, and then you can read like what that monument was for, and you learn a little history also. So
I'll be honest,
fun
you're not
go.
making this sound cool.
No.
Hey, Yule, if you go to the red light district, are there hooker Pokemon?
It's Mr. Mime. Oh no,
Yeah.
Jinx. It's Jinx.
There's a bunch of Squirtles over there too.
if you go into the warehouse district, is there like junky Pokemon and like there's a
All right.
Pikachu with like a needle
We
on
got
his
enough,
arm?
Doc.
I don't know how much work Nintendo's doing on this if they're going there.
But we do need to say welcome to the channel to Eric Canetti. Obviously, he was a guest recently on the Comics Aficionados. Nice to see him in there. Probably around drawing some comic books, listening to us be morons. So that's always fun. Who else we got? We got Josh McDonald. Josh, you've got pink eye. What the hell happened to your eyeball? Did it touch you?
I don't have pink eye. I've got a giant sty on my eye, so I'm looking pretty jank today. Here, we'll give a quick, or if you want to go to my
That's
Twitter,
why you got to
can see
wrap it up. You know what I'm saying, man?
You know, we're
Oh,
swollen.
yeah,
I don't have,
like
Wear an
love
eye
that.
patch. Wear an eye patch. Like I
You know
used
what,
to
Doc?
last year.
Had
were
this
sharing
not
island
had
on your-
happened last night, I swear to God, I had a thought last night that I was like, if I could find like a bald cap, a beard, and an eye patch, I would show up. And I was gonna change my name to just call me Doc 2.0.
Fuck yes.
All right, Doc. You're the last one. You're recovering. Are you feeling better?
Yeah, I'm most fine now. I had some soreness for a few days. Couldn't really sit in any position. Definitely couldn't lay. I lived in my recliner for like a week. It sucked.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like the worst in the history of the world. Glad to have you back. Let's get into some comic book stuff. I know that's what the people probably came here for the most part. And we had an interesting tweet come out from Tom Brevoort, the senior vice president from Marvel Comics, and he's the guy that's supposed to keep all the stories and stuff in line. And apparently, he hasn't been into a comic shop for over a year. What do you think about that, Yul? You're a retailer. You're working with Marvel. You would expect their senior people to at least go into comic shops and talk to customers, right?
Yeah, I mean, at least the local store. There's got to be the one you go to. I know. Well, I don't know Mark or Tom Brevoort, but he seems like he's like perfectly willing to stay at home all the time, not play Pokemon Go, basically. and he you know, yeah, I guess I don't know. It's very, when I had Image lived in Berkeley, they worked in Berkeley, their downtown office, and they would come into the comic store, my comic store, because all of them liked comic books. I mean, a lot of times they would come in and maybe like poo-poo something that's going on, you know, but you know, they're so close to it. Of course, they're gonna rag, and we all rag on stuff. What are you gonna do? But yeah, you should go in and know what's coming out. You should know what your book looks like on the wall next to the other books, because if it doesn't stand out, you can learn a lot. Guess what? They don't stand out. Spoiler. I mean, those Momoko covers do, of course.
They look very nice.
But yeah, you should definitely go in. I can't understand why you wouldn't. I go into other comic book stores. I try and make a point, you know, if I go into a comic store, I always buy something. You know, there's just, I feel like it's, you know, I have to do that. But man, so that means I'm looking around, you know, I want to see like what kind of out of print stuff they have, you know, what they bother having, what they have a lot of, because, you know, I have a lot of stuff I wish I didn't have. And, you know, you just got to know what the retailer's thinking. And it's real. I mean, maybe he is, you know, via the internet, but not going into a store, you got to really have that tactile, you know, experience to fully understand what you're working with. And I think that's a shame. Done.
So, Jim, as a comic book reviewer that reads a lot of Marvel stuff, are you surprised that maybe their leadership is a little out of touch with comic readers?
Here's the thing. I don't expect everybody to go into shops. Plus, Tom Brevoort seems like a bit of a prick. So with that, he ends up, what surprises me is he's willing to go and admit on, you know, Twitter that he doesn't go to comic book shops. He doesn't have to get out there and really put it out there as if he's proud of it. He seemed like he was throwing this out there, proud of it. And like Yul said, there's also something, you go to a comic book shop and all of a sudden you see that your comics, the ones that you're trying to push, aren't being featured, or, oh my God, look at what's already in the dollar bin, or, you know, what that's something that he might want to look at and might then realize and get out of his little bubble, maybe go play Pokemon Go, I don't know. But he'd be out of his bubble and realize, oh my God, you know what? While I have a lot of yes men and gals around me, maybe things aren't so great. And maybe he could get a little bit of an idea of what is hitting. Because I think a lot of these people, Tom Brevoort, even the creators, because again, being a reviewer and stuff like that, like Josh was, the idea, or is, and the idea that you're given a lot of yes. Oh, 10 out of 10 is this. And I think they're in this bubble that you have to break out of. And then he's proud to say, hey, everybody, you know, the fans that buy, I'm not like you. I end up, and we know he probably gets everything for free. I mean, it's silly to think that he has to go and buy things. He should go and talk to comic shop owners and talk to people so that he might get a little bit of a different perspective of what's hitting and what's not. It's infuriating. I ended up tweeting him about it and basically called him a prick. And then he ended up saying to me that he outpaces me in buying comics. Like, what? Now he's in a fight with me about, oh man, my dad could beat up your dad. Now I'm going to get, it's just silly. And the guy is just ridiculous. And I've had problems with him for a while. I think he's out of touch. He doesn't understand what's going on now. That's just me. But yeah, I think it's ridiculous.
I think oh, go ahead.
No, Josh, you go ahead.
I was just, I think his response back to you is completely shows that he doesn't understand part of his job. Like for me, each week in my day job, I have to send an executive recap. So I send it to our corporate office. And part of my executive recap is I have to go visit a number of other retail stores. And not even in my, like, they don't even have to be within my industry. But I've got to go recap what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing. And I've built relationships with those managers of those stores to get feedback. What are customers saying? Even though it's a different market, because at the end of the day, you know, you're still trying to sell stuff. You're still trying to understand things. And it goes beyond just the sales of your product. Like, what is your experience looking like? What are you hearing? What does your staffing situation look like? From his standpoint, like, maybe his thought process is, I don't need to go to shops. I'm already getting books. I don't need to go to shops. I'm already getting feedback, AKA the internet. But we've all learned that the feedback you're getting from the internet isn't necessarily the majority. It's just the loudest.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think he did say, there's the pandemic still going on, so he just gets his comic books delivered to him, I think from Midtown or something like that. But it's like,
yeah. Are we at all surprised that fat gerbil in a hat still like is scared
No.
to go out of his house?
He's not scared of the pandemic. He's scared of getting face-to-face feedback.
The truth.
Yeah.
He's afraid of the truth. Plus, he said he outpaced me. I saw that. He ain't outpacing anybody. I saw his really. That's the whole truth. But still, he's afraid of the truth because he's in a bubble.
If there is a buffet, god damn it, he will beat you.
I'll be right there with him. I'm telling you, I'll be there too. But at least I don't think he's outpacing me though.
How you getting past CB Cebulski though?
Well, that's a good point. CB will block him like it's NASCAR.
Yeah,
like so that Tom makes it there in front of you.
Well, they're going to draft off one another.
Yeah. Yep.
Just to pull it out there, I mean, you're talking about Tom Brevoort, and you're his higher up as a guy who pretended he was a Japanese writer. I mean, that right there is just so ridiculous. The whole way that everybody out of touch and that whole Marvel deal, it's just unbelievable.
All right, Doc. So you're the Marvel aficionado. You probably know more about Tom Brevoort than I do. You've probably been hearing his name. He's obviously been at Marvel a long time. Is this who Tom Brevoort is, or has he changed over time?
Well, Tom Brevoort is similar in a lot of ways. He reminds me a lot of the situation with like Victoria Alonso and a few other execs that have come, Jordan White, in people who were competent at a job that got promoted beyond their competency. You see it a lot in the military. You see it a lot in business. And you see it a lot in entertainment. People that they're very, very good at a certain job. Tom Brevoort's job that he was very, very good at was being continuity cop. He knew everything, and he would shut your shit down if it was breaking continuity with some other thing going on. But he became Joe Quesada's kind of right-hand man, and then ended up promoted beyond his competency. And now he's in a situation where he's involved in the creative side to a certain degree that he never was when he was. His job was never to say yes before. It was always to say no. And to restrain the storytelling. And yes, I understand that seems frustrating, but it also is what makes a compelling shared universe function. You need somebody to restrain it. Otherwise, you end up with everybody just playing, musical capes and costumes, and everybody deciding to fucking like mishmash everybody together and throw them into a blender and be like, hey, we created a new character. It's the 37th different Spider Person. But this time they're Black, Asian, in a wheelchair and have a peg leg, because why not? But they can still swing from their wheelchair sticks to walls and can drive on the ceiling. I know, like the Spider-Mobile.
Too many ideas now.
But yeah, so like they think that's creativity instead of having somebody. Tom Brevoort's job of saying no, he was very good at. Anytime it involves him coming up with new ideas, he's very bad at it. And I don't think he understands. I think he would recognize, he would be faced with a reality that he does not want to deal with. That a lot of people in the comics industry would point out to him, you suck at your job, dude. A lot of the retailing side, can't you just go back to being continuity? More than likely he would hear, can't you just go back to being the continuity cop from about
Marvel
60%?
Could use that.
I know they could. Problem is they don't have anybody, and everybody that they've hired that would have filled that role doesn't know fuck all about comics. I mean, we see it in the editorial staff. Victoria Alonso was great at a location scout, terrible involving actual content. Jordan White was fine catching people's coffee and playing the ukulele to entertain people in the lobby. Actually being involved in, editing, not so much. And Tom Brevoort, continuity cop that tells writers, no, you can't do this, he was good at. But anything that involves creativity, he's bad at. So look, we're in a situation where he needs demoted, but he'll never get demoted because nobody gets demoted in this world. So he'll either end up retiring that job, or they'll promote him again into some cushy, no actual work job, which I fucking hope they do.
He's already in exec position. Like,
No, I mean, where he's actually not, he doesn't have any power either. He just draws a paycheck so that he doesn't work for DC.
It's a pun. Draws a paycheck.
My goodness.
Yeah.
Eric, you're a chef. Do you go over to other restaurants to see what other people are doing and what's going on in the food community?
Yeah.
It seems like it would be something that would be important.
It is. And also pay attention to who's hiring on Craigslist too. Be like, oh, Joey lost their sous chef again. It's like something like that. You got to keep your ear in. Like, you're in this industry, and that is your point of sales. I mean, Origin. That's where you get your comic books. You don't have a newsstand anymore. That's not where it happens. And just that's. I think Sun Tzu calls that in The Art of War supreme ignorance.
It's even as a YouTuber, I go over to other people's channels to see what's going on and what's working, and I even watch videos about making YouTube videos. So I'm on the cutting edge of all the stuff that perhaps I can incorporate into my channel, because I want to produce the best YouTube videos that I can with the limited means that I do have. So it's kind of strange. It's like, this dude makes a whole lot of money. For him to seemingly not care very much seems odd. But we do have a few super chats. Let's get the pulse of the viewers right here. We got Lade Kramer says, big hello to the chat and panel. Let happiness raid. Oh, Doc, is that an affront to you personally?
Not particularly. I'm fine with happy. I like being happy. Marvel just doesn't make me happy.
Wow.
The comics industry in general these days does not make me happy because they're not very good at their jobs.
Yeah.
Competence makes me happy, and we are seeing an incompetent industry.
Roddy Boy Comics right here. The PI says, hello, West of the Aficionados. Hi, everybody. Well, hello, Roddy. Good to see you here. Nice to have you back. We got Callum Lyle. Despite looking like a walrus, where did Jordan White come from? I don't know. Where do walruses come from? You look like you like animals.
Walruses, aren't those Alaska or something like that? Antarctica? I don't know. My geography is really bad. I like the reptiles
I don't think
more.
there's any walrus in Alaska.
Well, it's somewhere between Alaska and Antarctica. I'm certain.
Yeah, there you go.
You could be the walrus. I'll be the Eggman.
Cuckoo.
I don't know. Maybe Jordan White is a
Pikachu.
Pokemon, and he came out of a Pokeball.
Pikachu.
Pikachu.
That's it.
Maybe. Who knows?
I don't know.
No telling where Jordan White came from.
I don't know where Jordan White came from. I don't pay attention to what website he was jerking off on or whatever before he got his job.
I was going through some old Marvel books.
I'm not going to that website.
I was looking at some of my old, I tried to like the Star Wars new Marvel stuff. I got the Poe Dameron series because I love Phil Noto's art. I adore his art. And but that was like 2005, 2015, 16. And that was edited by Jordan White and Heather Antos.
Well, he was the man.
Quick question for that series. Oh, no. Did Phil Noto still draw with tiny little baby legs on his characters?
I think so. Yeah. Okay. I look at the faces.
Okay. No, Jordan. Look, Jordan's been at Marvel for a very long time. Before the Star Wars, he was actually in the X office. He was a associate editor, I believe. And then before that, he was an assistant editor.
How did he lose his way then? I mean, he was brought up in. I don't know. Marvel Editorial is always weird.
Look, Marvel Editorial lost a lot of people in the 2000s to Mark Miller and Ed Brubaker and Brian Vaughan, especially Brian Vaughan, because Brian Vaughan took a lot of them to Hollywood with him when he made his jump after he got added to the Lost Writers Room. And then he became a big thing in Hollywood. But all of those big, creators from the early mid 2000s that have made it very successful in doing independent work, they took a lot of those editors with them, and basically they became their editor at their little imprint. So Marvel lost a lot of their internal, I guess their homegrown talent, and we ended up with a lot of basically all that was left were the people that weren't good enough to get poached.
Yeah, the leftovers.
Yeah.
Yep. We do have something. This is pretty cool. Thank you for whoever made me see this one. The Law Gnome says, "Hey everyone. So it wasn't on New Comic Book Day as planned, but I am officially a daddy. My wife and I welcomed a beautiful baby girl into the world on May 10th, and she's already my Supergirl. Well, congratulations.
Nice.
Nice.
Being a dad is lots of fun. I can tell you
Aw.
that. And we're on the 14th, so you've probably already seen the black tar poops. Those things only last a couple of days, and they are awful. But it's all uphill from here. You know what I'm saying, buddy? Congratulations.
Congratulations, and enjoy your next few months of no sleep.
Months.
Babies sleep
Months.
a lot, Doc.
Yeah.
Months,
They
years.
sleep a lot. Like they sleep 18 hours a day. So he'll be good until maybe like 6 months when they start.
Once
When
the
they start
teething.
moving around a bit, right?
Yeah.
Then you gotta like always be up, and those like 5
Gotta be
minutes just
aware.
don't do it.
So once they start crawling at about like 8 or 9 months, then they get.
You can only
real
put them in
babies.
that chair that swings them for so long before they.
You say that, but you can do that all day.
You could put it. You could put them in one of those like movable cage things.
Yeah. I have 5 kids.
Cage,
I'm
huh?
still putting them in those. They're 18. They're still in that chair.
Don't put your kids in a cage. Put them in a playpen. They'll be happier.
Yeah, it's got to be like balls in there or something that you can say they're playing with, or else then child services probably.
I can say this, Law Gnome, if you want to have more than one, you need to pack them up all in the same little age bracket. That way you can
Yep.
get on to, you and your wife being alone again. It's only 18 years in the future. You know what I'm saying? Start playing that. You don't want to stretch it out too long. And the next thing you know, it ends up being 38 years.
Yep.
So we got Scribbler Jones says, where do you see DC headed in the Zaslav era? I see them headed for a lot of change. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah,
We're
no, I
going to
think,
talk about this in depth here in a few minutes.
yeah, I was going to say we are going to discuss this in depth, but I do see a lot of change coming, and it seems like it's good change based on what they're doing already. But being able to identify problems and then being able to execute to where you don't have those problems are two different things. So we'll see.
Yeah. So I expect change. Never know if change is going to be good or bad until it happens. We've got Dark Admiral March here. I'm here for the comics, but Doc Rayleigh on Random Topics is a bonus. Welcome back, Doc.
Word. Thank
I
you.
don't
Thank you.
think that's like the majority of the viewers. I think the majority of the viewers are kind of like, Doc.
Nah, fuck that shit. They love it.
I saw that one guy needling me like, Doc was right. It's like, no, he wasn't.
Yes, I was. By the
Doc
way,
was Doc.
I
Yeah.
still called Tinny Howard for what I predicted Tinny Howard for exactly what she was. I'm always right. Just give it time. I will always turn out to be right.
Cal Miles says, is he saying that Jordan White looks like a rodent in a hat? It must be.
Yeah, I think so.
It must be Brevoort because he's the one that wears the hat.
Tom Brevoort looks like a gerbil in a hat. He looks like a fat gerbil. He's got that like the 2 buck teeth thing in the front, and it's bad.
Doc is always right. Get out of here, Breen.
Fuck yes. Even the legend, the absolute fucking legend, Eric Breen knows.
Wow.
We're calling Breen a legend now?
Yes, he is. He has a legendary
yeah.
comic collection.
Well, he's got a beautiful comic collection, and he has a beautiful soul. I don't know if he's a legend, but
He is a
maybe.
legend.
I'll allow it. We got Wolfstein 3D. The idea the CEO of the company I work for not to check out how our products are presented at retail is crazy. Admitting it is insane. Now, Josh, you are in a leadership position in a retail environment.
Yeah.
Does this seem odd to you?
It's so weird, man. And, it's like I kept thinking back to when Dan DiDio was actually over DC Comics, and he would talk about going into comic shops and discussing what he saw. But he also had a retailer group that he was communicating through. I think it was a Facebook group. Can you confirm that? How? You'll?
No,
He
I
had
can't.
multiples.
Okay, I'm pretty sure it was a Facebook group, but I know that he had a retailer group that he would communicate with. And then I've heard it from my personal retailer and some other retailers that I knew in Los Angeles. But he tried to keep some type of communication, and most of it was for them to communicate kind of what they were doing and why to the retailers. But it also opened them up for feedback. And, whether or not Dan DiDio was actually the one on the other end, most likely not. But he probably had to say what they were sharing, the information they were sharing, or the responses they were given. But it was like he understood there's value in feedback and there's value in seeing what is going on. And Tom Brevoort just doesn't seem interested in that. And to me, that says nothing more than I don't care if we grow or not.
Yeah, it's really odd stuff. Don't get it
Weird.
all. Callum Lyle says, off topic, Wes, that guy that made Blade's daughter the pic that you used in the video, does he actually look like that when he smiles? I'm assuming that you're talking about Tim Seeley. That would have been the guy whose picture I used in there. I've never seen him actually smile. Maybe he just has a weird smile. You've seen Tim Seeley in real life. Is that what he looks like, Yule?
No, I don't actually believe I have. Tim Seeley?
What picture are we talking about?
Yeah, I didn't even see the picture.
There's only so many Tim Seeley pictures that will look good enough with resolution to put on a video, and he's kind of like going
Sure.
like this. He kind of looks stupid. God.
I've met Tim
yeah,
Seeley.
yeah.
I've met Tim Seeley a few times. Does he look weird? I mean, he looks like your average Joe. I wouldn't say he looks weird.
Yeah.
I will
Sounds like
say,
a goober.
I know we tend to rag on Tim Seeley a lot for his writing, but out of all the comic professionals that I've met, he is by far one of my favorites. Just personality wise, like
He's very reasonable.
he's very reasonable. He's funny as fuck. Like he is hilarious. But yeah, no, he's just chill. Tim
Seeley is now. I'm gonna be perfectly honest. He's a guy that loves comics. He's just not good at his job. I'm sorry.
I'm not a big
He's
fan.
in a dry
either.
spell right now.
Well, he's never been in a wet spell, sir. He's just not good at it. I give him props because he'll never give up on it, and that's great. And he ekes out a living on it. But he will never. There is 0% chance that he'll ever be any sort of a marquee name. I mean, look, him and Zeb Wells have been doing comics for almost as long as each other, and Tim Seeley will never end up on Amazing Spider-Man, and Zeb Wells managed to.
I think
but
the
Zeb
closest
Wells
he got was getting that Nightwing gig, and it didn't do that well.
Yeah, the closest he ever got was Nightwing, or when they let him basically take over the Wildstorm universe right before they killed it.
Didn't all work out that way.
Did you use the picture of him with his arms crossed?
I believe so.
Yeah, he looks weird in that picture. He doesn't normally look that weird.
There's always so many with a good enough resolution to use, and I will admit that one doesn't look great. Lyle also says Tom Brevoort still won't fire Dan Slott. You saw the thing on Disney Plus, right, Eric? The 616 documentary where they're laughing about how incompetent Dan Slott was and he can't meet a deadline.
Yeah, I saw that. I think I saw it here on your chat. Did you do a video on it?
Of course, I did a video on it.
Of course, I
hate Dan
believe
Slott.
I saw it.
Of course.
Did you? After Dan Slott, I found out he blocked me on Twitter. I made a video of me burning some of his comic books.
He didn't block you on Twitter. You were part of a block bot because you followed the wrong person. Probably Ethan Van Sciver.
Oh, I'm a naughty boy.
No, he followed somebody saying that you should probably go on a diet.
Oh my!
You could all probably lose a little weight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody except for Eric, he looks like he's in pretty good shape. To be honest,
he's eating all that soup.
It's the soup.
It's the soup. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, that's fine because you're basically just drinking water.
Soup is good food. Yeah.
It's not food.
It's
a beverage.
No.
It's
that you eat.
Wes,
tomato.
You do bring up a good point with this, though. Like between Brevoort's comment and that episode of that Disney Plus show, like I don't understand how anyone higher than Tom Brevoort can like actually sit at their job and be like, yeah, this is a good leader. Like that
I don't
episode.
think they have choices. I think what Doc said was kind of right, that they ran out of people and these are what was left.
I feel
Okay,
like you
of
can,
all the leftovers, which one has the most potential to not mess this up? Okay,
Right.
Tom Brevoort is that. Okay, Jordan White will move over to Star Wars because we have nobody else. It kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wonder if the uppers are making fun of Tom Brevoort like he was making fun of Dan Slott. It just goes down, up and down. Everybody's making fun of the one under them because they suck. And then at the end, nobody ends up firing anybody, I guess because they're having fun, making fun of each other.
I need to interject. I believe I just heard Wes say Doc was right again. Oh,
No,
wow.
there was a point of view. There's a way that I could take what you said and make it sound somewhat intelligent. That's all I did. I smoothed it out for you, Doc. You're welcome.
So Doc was right. Okay. Welcome back to the Doc is Right show.
There was a hint of truth that I was able to extract from your nonsense. Is what happened. You know what I'm saying? A nugget. We'll call it a nugget, Doc. There was a little nugget of truth in there.
I'll give you a nugget.
It's like Graver says, they announced a new Spider-Verse and end of the Spider-Verse event. Do we need this for Spider-Man? Do we need Felicia Hardy Spider Lady? New ideas, please. I think it's weird that they're killing the Spider-Verse since they have this movie coming out. And I imagine there's going to be another sequel to it as well. You know what I mean, Doc? Do you want Spider Craven? Because I saw that design.
Nobody wants all of these spider everything. At no point they've watched the diminished returns ever since Miles. Fuck no, hell, since goddamn Jessica Drew, they've watched every single successive spider clone have less success than the previous. So now let's do 30 and 40 at a time.
But they're going to kill it all off too.
I don't care. Look, I don't care. Then it means nothing. If they're doing it to kill it, it means nothing. If they're doing it to keep it, it means that they're entirely out of ideas. Just stop doing it.
Should be a variant cover.
They all need to be thrown into the sun. The only one left, I will maybe accept Jessica Drew and Peter Parker. That is it. Every other one into the fucking sun.
Riley?
I don't like. I can't. Maybe I'll deal with Ben Reilly in his current.
It's not his fault. They cloned him. You know what I mean? He just wants to take the guy.
I get that. I'll maybe deal with him in his chasm state right now, and Miles if he goes back to his own universe. Yes. Everything else, if they're still in the 616, all of them into the sun.
Teddy Smoker wants to know, what about Mayday Parker? Will you make an exception?
Into the sun.
Doc is right.
There's
Doc
too many spiders.
Too many spiders.
Listen, you try to upset Tevye some more. You're always trying to kill off the characters he loves. You know he likes Lori. He likes to call her Wolverine.
He likes to be wrong. I like Tevye, and I like the fact that he likes to be wrong. It's okay. But they've killed every one of their brands, and this is just another way to further kill this brand. Every time they do it, it kills the brand more.
I agree. I mean, I'm with Doc on this one. I thought about this recently too. I mean, what for me turns me off to buying Marvel magazines is one of them is the ongoing argument about Miles and his authenticity about being a Spider-Man. And Doc nailed it. He needs his own universe where he can be Spider-Man. There was no competition. There's no if and buts. He's not crammed into, shoehorned into the 616. He would thrive in his own universe again, and that's what Miles needs. Yeah. Because look at Rhodey. He was legitimately Iron Man there, when Tony could not be Iron Man, but when Tony was back being Iron Man, Rhodey was not Iron Man. There's no argument like, oh, Rhodey is Iron Man. There is none of that, and I'm just kind of turned off to Marvel because it's this all these bad arguments like like, oh, Miles is Spider-Man. Well, no, not with Peter around. He can't. It's
I don't
not
know,
like
man.
that.
You just said Doc was right, and they're talking about other people's bad
I'm
arguments.
sorry.
So, despite my better judgment, I am gonna put this little bad boy up here. We got AL, who's a great person. She's feeling under the weather. She's got the flu. So, if you want to send out some thoughts, prayers, or good vibes to AL on a speedy recovery, definitely do that. But AL says that she's going to check out Eric's channel because of the Pikachu.
Thank you. And stay for the soup, and the soup will make you feel better. Don't listen to Doc. See, Doc is
Absolutely.
wrong.
Soup is food. It's not liquid. I don't even know what he's calling it.
It's liquid
Definitely check out
gold.
Eric's channel. He's a smaller channel. So if you're looking for a smaller YouTube channel to get on while it's still small and you can grow with it, I think he's at about like 225 subscribers. So he's got room to grow, and he's going to be heading to the top. So jump
I'm
on the
grateful
air.
for everyone that tunes in. You know what I mean? Yeah. I talk about
Jump on
spirituality.
the bandwagon
too.
now.
Yeah.
And there is a link to his channel in the video description if you need to find it. And also on his
Thank you. Feel
on his,
better,
social
AL.
media. Definitely. Who else? We got Monster Mania. That's a good name. For the group, which comic book cover first drew you into comics? And welcome back, Doc. All right, Doc. Which cover drew you into comics?
Uncanny X-Men 232. That was my first comic.
Very nice. What about you, Yule? What's the cover that just it sucked you in forever?
Man, that's tough. I would say probably like some Spider-Man cover, but the one I really remember from my youth was the Incredible Hulk Batman crossover. It was that one of those big Treasury DC Marvel crossover books, and that whole book was just like ingrained in my mind for all time. So maybe that was one of the earliest ones.
How about you, Jim? Is there one cover that really drew you into comic books when you were younger?
Mine was probably actually Kingdom Come #1, and I ended up getting involved a little bit later in life. But even then, before then, when I saw that had me interested. It was like, oh my god, what is this? And it really, got me going.
Absolutely. It looks like Eric, you've got the cover. You ready to show it off?
Yeah.
Nice.
Very nice.
Daredevil
with the
170. Daredevil 175. I bought I bought this last month at a con. I got Klaus Johnson to sign it. Now I'm gonna get Frank Miller. I'm gonna go to a con just to have Miller sign it. I'll go hunt him down. But I bought this at a bodega off a spinner rack in the summer of '81, and I was 8 years old with my pocket change before going to summer camp. And I had this funny book with me for years. And I had a great moment with Klaus. I got to say, this is one of my favorite all-time panels. Like the three of us in one swipe, remarkable, and they all drop. It's Karigi the Ninja. Loved this. So this sucked me in. Yes.
Nice.
And
was there like a fat, lazy cat doing stupid stuff in that bodega?
Yes. And this cover too. I was so happy to pick this up because this is, I don't know why, this is just one of my favorite all-time comic book covers. I just am so happy to have got this issue. It's Star Wars 62, Luke Skywalker, Pariah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
We've also got Neostar Productions. I'm telling you, Doc, the War of Arachnids and Lupine could help cull the herd of excess derivatives on the Marvel side. Let them fight.
I'm fine with that. All the spiders, all the Hulks, all the Iron people, all the Wolverine people, or just the Claw people, all the Claw people, all the Captains America, all of them into a battle to the death, and then
the new Secret War,
and there's no
war.
And they can never come back because reasons. I don't care. Figure out a plot mechanism for why they can never be resurrected, and then force it upon the creators. And there could only be one of each left in each.
And it has to be the original.
Well, we tell the writers that if they don't make it the original, they are fired. But make it compelling to get rid of all the fucking discount Xerox, dollar store knockoff versions.
We got AL says that her first comic was Dracula at a church bazaar, and that her mom found it and threw it out. I do believe AL is Asian, so she might have had a tiger mom. You know what I mean?
Oh,
You can't be wasting time on these comic books. You need to be studying or something.
I find it
You'd be
funny that
good.
Dracula would be at the church bazaar in the first place.
It happens.
I mean, it
Sounds like it was a groovy church.
It's a good church. Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
I'm going to go there.
Gal Wild says Charizard is the best.
Charizard.
Charizard. Oh, we talking about Pokemons?
Pokemon. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That was worth $2.
Is that a Squirtle or something?
Charizard.
Charizard. Don't worry about it.
All right.
Is that the
Well,
one that
it's
like
cute little
breathes
dinosaur.
fire?
Yeah, he's a cute
Yeah,
little
it's
dinosaur with the
Fireball.
flame on his tail. It's just
Pokemans.
Wolfsteed 3D says Spider-Verse, Civil War comics are like bad wrestling promotions. Whenever they have something that works, they can't help but run it into the ground.
Yes,
Well,
yes.
when you find that, like, Wolverine's selling, you want to make sure you put him in a bunch of books, They used to do that when they would start a new series at Marvel. They made sure like the third issue was the Spider-Man guest star.
Because
everybody
the same thing with Superman.
like in
at DC.
Transformers.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
they did it with Spider-Man. It was Spider-Man, Ghost Rider, Punisher, and Wolverine in the 90s that they would have guest star.
Sure thing.
But you know
Yeah.
what? It didn't help. Which one of those 90s characters that they did that to did that help? Is fucking Sleepwalker or Darkhawk still being published because of that?
Yeah, Darkhawk's in Avengers. He just replaced Black Panther. What are you talking about, Doc?
They usually care about like the first 5 issues, and
That's right.
it seems to like, we'll just keep Mike Manley on this book,
But my point is they did it. Their series didn't last.
Well,
And-
almost all series don't last, really.
I understand that, but not only did their series not last, you ended up with people being sick of these marquee characters because they got overexposed.
Right.
So you didn't solve the problem you thought you were going to do, and you created a problem that you didn't have before it.
And I'm saying I'm just agreeing with Wolfenstein. I mean,
Oh.
I think we're just agreeing with, and this
Yes.
is just
Oh,
another way that
absolutely.
they've done it, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
But I mean, you see it. Oh, gimmick covers, alternate covers. This person's hot. We'll make sure that they do all the covers. There's all sorts. Oh, this is really popular these days. We'll go back to doing westerns. It will happen.
Yeah.
Whatever. It be.
Remember when they tried it with the Marvel UK line? They tried sticking all of them to try to make the Marvel UK line actually, work.
Right.
It all flopped.
It all flopped. Yeah.
Neostar Productions wants to know when Darkhawk is back. He replaced Black Panther in the last issue of Avengers. 'Cause
Yeah,
Black
he-
Panther quit.
I think it was like
behind.
I think it was like a one shot that they had a year ago for Darkhawk, and then they did a little mini series, and now he's in Avengers. So they're definitely trying. They're trying.
All right. Excellent.
Wait, somebody's still
DC
reading Jason Aaron Avengers?
He's yeah.
3 people.
Get out of here with that stuff.
No.
Mr. DC Comics, why don't comic book characters share villains? Superman versus the Sinestro Corps, Batman versus the Rogues, Wonder Woman versus Poison Ivy. Well, they certainly had done that in the Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern Corps. One of his big story arcs, he's fighting Zod in the House of Zod, off in space. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. So
Yeah, that one was really
Marvel
cool.
Marvel in the 80s did a great event built around that thing called Acts of Vengeance.
Smacks of Vengeance.
Yeah.
But,
Spider-Man.
if you have a
versus
good
the
villain,
Green-
obviously
Red
Lex
Skull.
Luthor is a Batman villain now. So
Yeah. That Zod story arc was actually pretty good. And if I remember correctly, it actually spun out of Suicide Squad. So you had that, like, it was introduced in Suicide Squad and then went on for a while and then transitioned into Green Lantern. It was a good run.
What about villains that have like Mongol? He doesn't really, Superman, Green Lantern, he kind of shares them. But are there other villains like that I can't place my finger on right now?
Well, Kid Flash is getting how and a question too. How is that that round robin going? Because there was this really interesting Kid Flash concept that it was Kid Flash versus Reverse Flash, who's now got a Sinestro Corps ring.
no,
Which
that
is
one
his
did not
dad,
win.
too. Yeah, and that didn't win.
No,
It's Superboy versus Dark Suicide Squad Dark, I believe, is the finals.
ooh,
I haven't seen the winner of the vote yet, but that was those are the ones that made it. So yeah, shared villains is cool. We could definitely have someone give Wonder Woman some villains because she could use it.
Mhm.
Deathstroke jumps
Definitely.
around a lot. He
Yeah,
jumps around a
Deathstroke.
bunch. So
Absolutely.
He also has his own title, so it's
yeah,
he's a very strange character in their universe. They are trying to. That's having your cake and eating it too, right there.
Wraith X7 says Miles should lose his ability to stick to walls in his spider sense, but keep his other powers and become the new Prowler.
Boom! That would be okay.
yeah.
That would be
To
okay.
differentiate him from
I
Spider.
would be all right with that. I mean, he's called Miles Morales in the book anyway, so
It's true.
I think having a superhero name on that cover would be better. Something in the
His own
Prowler's
logo
theirs.
and everything.
You keep the original content somewhat. Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. Not bad.
Jasper Play-Night says Becky Cloonan is Wonder Woman's villain. Well, that's Clune Rad. There's two of
Yeah,
them.
Clone Rad. Holy moly. Everybody's a villain.
Cal Weil says he's a giant orange dragon. I'm assuming this is a Charizard, right?
It's a Charizard.
Yeah, Charizard.
Yeah, with a little fire on his tail, big eyes.
So if people want to hook up with you, Yule, and like join your posse, and go find Pokemon,
All right, I'll tell you what.
Where do you organize?
I'll get my
Are we
number,
talking
I'll put
about
it in the,
Pokemon Go or are we talking about Tinder?
we're talking
Both.
my posse's getting
Ever
big,
about
and my
Pokemon
posse's
Go.
getting bigger.
I'll put my my ID number so you can follow me on Pokemon Go. We'll be friends.
Aw.
yeah, you can all join up and go beat up other gyms and stuff. It sounds like
It's not
about
quite that
bullying.
way, but let's just say
Jets and
for
sharks.
you.
Wolfstein 3D is also on the Pokemon Go bullying chain. If you check for a Pokemon at Marble HQ, my bet is you would find a Snorlax.
Ayo.
Is that a burn? Did you get it?
That's a burn.
That's a burn.
Yeah,
What's
it's
wrong with the
totally burnt.
Snorlax?
They're
What are you
just all
doing?
very asleep.
Oh, he's
It's a-
lazy. He's like
Yeah, he's
sloth.
lazy.
Might
Maybe
actually
that's
wear a hat.
slaking. Is that how you say it? Slaking.
Bad. So does Brevoort look like a Snorlax, but with a hat?
Put a hat on
No,
him.
I would
They
have
put a
to,
hat on a Snorlax. Yeah.
You know, I'll go through. We should do a video where we figure out what Pokemon is Marvel editors or something like that.
Man, you're gonna have to do
Past
that
and present.
on Eric's channel because I don't know Pokemon enough. We did the one with wrestlers. That was fun. 'Cause I watch. I used to watch WWE. I'm an AEW guy now. 'Cause I like
Still?
wrestling instead of sports
Still?
entertainment. Oh yeah.
Still,
You don't even watch wrestling. What are you talking about?
I just get offended by it.
I stopped watching
Yes.
wrestling when when Hogan went Hollywood. I'm an old guy.
Hogan went Hollywood.
When Hogan went Hollywood, I jumped up. I got
You threw stuff into the ring, didn't you?
It was a good era.
How could you? I believed in you, Hulk. I took my vitamins.
I took my
fact that
vitamins.
they
I said my
allowed that.
prayers.
I said
I
my
learned
prayers.
the words to Real American.
Call everybody brother.
Absolutely. The doctor says like the smash button.
Like the
Oh,
smash
we do.
button.
Do we have
indeed.
people they like the video? We're well over 300 live viewers. So that's doing pretty well. We're over 100 likes so far.
Hello,
So
everyone.
hey, if you haven't given us a like, give us a like. Hope we can get over 200 by the end of the video. We're having a good time now. We got a lot of fun stuff happening, and Doc should be back from his break any moment now. We got Ideator. Comics are in the age of forcing a baby face on its fans instead of letting the customers decide. New characters don't get to ascend and grow anymore.
Mhm.
Yeah. Everyone's fucking
True.
John Cena and Roman Reigns nowadays. Yule.
Well,
I blame
mean,
you and your
if
fans of
they
sports
had-
entertainment.
If the characters were as compelling as them, I would understand that. But unfortunately, it's very AW. It's very mid, as MJF likes to say. No, I'm just joking. No, but larger than life characters are very important in these comics, and they just don't really seem to be. And every time there is a new character, it's just kind of tropey and what we expect. And usually the people that are writing them just aren't really all that great, I guess. And maybe the character designs, we're going to see a lot of new characters coming out. I've noticed on Twitter, a lot of people upset with some books that are coming out, some new characters. But I think really the ultimate thing about those characters, until we read the stories, they look so unappealing. Like they just don't sound very interesting at all. And say what you will about the tribal chief, he's got a thing,
Yeah, it's
And
not putting anyone over or making anyone a bigger
that's
star.
right. It's
That's his
being the
thing.
best, and then
not
someday
making anyone else a
someone
star,
will
a bigger deal.
possibly who is going to take this person on and be able to take them out. And it doesn't matter with these new characters quite so much. And I don't think they're really like sticking also, but it takes a long time. It takes a long time. You put these characters out and we want them to grow. And the way you do is you put them in team books, or they're a guest star every once in a while. You know, that Spider-Man villain didn't automatically get like, you know, a brand new story and then an issue and then a mini series. It takes a long time before, you know, these characters are like super established and you want to read a longer, you know, series with them. You can't just throw out, oh, season 1 and it was 6 issues, and season 2. It's like, who cares about season 1 or season 2 of this stuff?
Absolutely. That's the problem. No one cares. So thank you very much to Ideator and everyone for supporting the channel. Let's move on to this other topic. I guess we'll hit this one next. We had some cancellations going on with DC products as far as the CW. First, Batwoman was canceled. Then we had Naomi canceled, Legends of Tomorrow. It sounds like the CW themselves wanted to renew the shows, but Warner Brothers are the ones that said, we no longer want to produce the show. We don't want to continue on with these things. Feels like we're starting to get some of that cleaning house things happening with the DC Comics characters and whatnot. Now, Eric, I know you were a big fan of the CW Arrowverse. You're the biggest fan of Naomi that I know. I know
Yes.
it's disappointing, buddy. Are you supporting what Zaslav is doing?
Heartbroken. Yeah. Legends of Tomorrow, 7 seasons. That's great. That's a great run for a show, especially a cosplay show. You know what I mean? It's cute. It's a cute show. I never really got into it. I hated what they did with Kid Flash over there. He was kind of a waste. I was actually into Flash for about a good 5 seasons before that show kind of, you know, went south a bit. But you know, it's no one's really watching them, aren't they? It's just, yeah, Naomi, huh? I mean,
I dipped out of all of them except for Superman and Lois.
mhm.
I feel like that's the only one there that's true-ish to the comics. Not terribly true, but true-ish.
Mhm.
And it seems like it's the only one that really has a handle on telling a superhero story.
Mhm.
The other ones, you know, Legends of Tomorrow got into, like, for a few seasons there, it was the best of the shows.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, I really like Crisis on Earth X. I mean, I'm a huge Crisis fan, and I avoided their Crisis on Infinite Earth. I can smell a stinker a mile away. But the previous season, that Crisis on Earth X, that was a really well done crossover. That reminded me of being a comic book fan as a kid. Like, you have to pick up Supergirl number 78, then you're gonna have to pick up, you know, the Flash 30, you know, 324, and, you know, just like I really dug the hell out of that crossover on those shows. That was, you know,
Well, the problem was, though, that so many of the shows just started being about social issue topic stuff. It got away from the superhero stuff. You know, Batwoman really never started it. Naomi never really started it. Black Lightning never really even started doing it. And all of them generally flopped. Well, Supergirl, I guess, stuck around for a few seasons. But it got out of, you know, when it moved about the second season after it moved from NBC over to CW is when it lost its way. Flash started losing its way around the same time. So the only one that still seems to be about superheroics and about, like, a little bit of the soap opera-y family drama stuff is Superman and Lois. All the rest of them, it was the Mutual Admiration Society. There was no internal conflict between, you know, the characters in the main cast, and it wasn't about doing superhero stuff. It just became about solving social issues. And I'm sorry, we get enough of that in the real world. You notice the only
They
one
gotta
left.
be more like comic books.
They do.
That's really, and they eventually don't. It's like
No.
they're embarrassed of it, you know.
Now, Flash is still around because I think it still has enough of the audience that it had before it got into doing all that social issue nonsense. Enough of them have still stuck around hoping that it would get back to being a superhero show. The rest of them never really had that audience, so they were already digging up, I guess you could say. They were on an uphill climb from the beginning and never really got anywhere.
But
So
now Flash is just getting its last season, and then it's going to be over. Also, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I'll
That's
take
what I
your word
had
for it.
heard, but I mean, I don't really do the Hollywood stuff too often.
Yeah, and so you're going to have Superman and Lois. I think this is a sign from David Zaslav that they are going to try to have more synergy between the product, like the comic product, and the TV product and the movie product.
Interesting.
Because Batwoman bared no resemblance to any of the Batwoman comics.
Mm-hmm.
None at all. Neither did Supergirl. Neither did Legends of Tomorrow. Is basically just everyone else that they didn't have a home for.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not even like a Legends type series being published. They're like, what's the point?
That was like a Marvel Exiles, but for DC TV.
It really was. It was, and Marvel Exiles was just sliders for, and what's it called? Quantum Leap.
Sure.
But for
Sure.
now, do we know anything about Stargirl?
I was going to ask, what about Stargirl?
Its new season hasn't started yet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But right
so
now, the only DC shows that they have are Stargirl, Flash, and Lois, or Superman and Lois.
Right.
Yeah, and they're the three that bear the closest resemblance to their comic
got.
product,
Yeah.
and also that seem to have any sort of legs, any sort of real audience.
What about Titans? Is that any? Would that be? I haven't seen it.
That's
yet.
on HBO Max.
Yeah,
Would
it's
that be
HBO
worth it?
Max.
Is that worth it to get into? What do you think?
No.
No.
I watched
No.
the
I didn't
first
like it.
season and a half, and then I just got bored.
If you want a
Really?
Dick Grayson that's really more like Jason Todd, that's really mad at Batman and stuff, that might be the show.
And likes to say fuck a lot.
I'm a
But
huge
the
Robin fan. I'd
Swamp
love to
Thing is
see.
good. Swamp Thing is good, and then I thought Doom Patrol were really good on the HBO Max.
Doom Patrol
Yeah.
season 1 was magnificent.
Yeah.
I mean, that was really so well done. I was in Heroes in Crisis happened, and I got off the DC boat, and so I made a point to go buy season 1 of Doom Patrol used on DVD, so I wouldn't be giving DC any of my money. And I was just really blown away by that show. That was so well done. I love their cyborg. I mean, why couldn't you put that in the big screen? I mean,
You never know. These things are weird. I'm just, I don't know. Do you think we're getting false hope here, Jim, that DC Comics are going to start cleaning house now that we've seen some of the stuff happen with the DC properties over on CW? Or do you think that was just like a particular incident?
I think it's false hope. I don't get any idea that they're looking at DC Comics at all, first off, but also the idea that they seem to be, I don't know, doubling and tripling up on some of these writers, and they're just bad. And even when you go to the TV shows, I'm not a TV or movie guy. I have awful attention span, like legendarily awful. If it's more than 10 minutes, I struggle. So with that, though, Naomi, that just shows you the whole combo of things. It's a book that barely even got a power set yet in these 2 seasons, as they, like to call these. They end up throwing names behind it. Of course, Bendis is behind it. Ava Dubin. This stuff there's not enough to make even a comic work, and nobody cares about this season 2 anyway. And then they try to make a TV show based on that without anything. They have enough material to make a show and a half, an episode and a half from there, and they're just greenlighting things for the wrong reason. And maybe, I mean, I'm saying this, maybe because these things are being canceled, it will trickle down, and you'll able to be see. It seems so easy to look at sales charts and know what stinks and know what isn't selling and all the, but they seem to be blind by it. But I keep seeing these creators who are just god awful. I mean, awful. You talked about Clone Red. You talked about all, and with that, they seem to go on Twitter announcing like, "Oh, I can't tell you what this is, but I have 7 DC things coming up," and it's just like, really, like, what are you doing? Like, well, who is giving them any jobs? And they seem to just be, they're being rewarded for things that shouldn't be rewarded. They stink. They all of the, almost the whole line of DC, they should fire right now all the writers and just grab random people off the street, and they'll save some money and they'll probably get better stories because nobody there can write anything. It's just,
these writers keep getting hired because they pick up on the first ring.
yeah, they pick it up.
And
exact. Doc's right again.
And they will not negotiate for salary because they'll just take
and they don't argue.
Peanuts they're thrown at them.
They're told to do nonsense. And that's the thing. I mean, can we blame the editors as well? Because a lot of times I hear, talking to some of these writers, they're told what to write, and they're not even good enough to write something that they have in their own head. Now it's trickled down from nonsense other people. Like, what are they doing? Like, it's whispered down the lane, an enigma wrapped in a mystery of what the hell is going on in these comics, and they can't even keep continuity right. It's just, it's a mess. They need to, and I know people hate reboots or whatever. They need a creative reboot, at least a creative team. Just done. Crisis on Infinite. Awful writers is what we'll call it. Get rid of them. Just take it. It gets me angry, obviously, but yeah, Doc's right. I just say that one last time.
Let's not go that far. You obviously being a retailer, as far as the customers go, like, who's doing better right now? Are people happier with Marvel or DC? Or are they happy with both?
I think people are more. I sell more Marvel. It's probably always been that way. Some of the things that DC does is it sells very well, like A Nice House on the Lake. Some of the Black Label books that come out, Batman, obviously, and that's pretty much it. It's a shame. I'm not saying that like people are really excited about Black Cat when it comes out in series form, but I sell all my issues of Black Cat. You know, Black Widow. I'm doing well. You know, selling through on almost everything. Hulk does well. Thor does well. I don't know if people are really super excited about it. I have seen more malaise when it goes over to like the X books. People are like, "Oh, I really like this series, but I've gotten behind." Well, when you get that far behind, it's going to cause you to not really enjoy it. Also,
you also don't like the series that much.
I think a lot of it is that people say they like the premise of X-Men, and I can totally understand that. It's different. But it doesn't really work in like a superhero IP setting. You know, you're really screwing and breaking your toys. And I know we're not talking about Marvel, we're talking about DC right now, but that's a shame. DC, on the other hand, I was thinking while you guys were talking about like, what am I excited for going forward? And I think it's Chip Zdarsky on Batman. And there was one other thing, and I can't remember it. And, you know, that's pretty much it.
Ram V on Detective.
Oh, Ram V on Detective is looking like it's going to be a really different, hopefully, take on Detective. So that could be something that a lot of people will be really happy about. But, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with, like, you know, the Justice League going forward right now. They got their whole thing. Dark Crisis coming up. I am excited about that. I want to like that. I want it to be, you know, something they can get, you know, galvanize the DC troops in my store. You know, this is the thing. But there isn't, like, if a Marvel event happens, the person that buys Captain Marvel and the person that buys X-Men and the person that buys Eternals are going to probably have to buy that book. What is that book for DC? You know,
is it Dark Crisis?
Yeah, I hope. I mean, that's what I'm hoping for, because it's been a while since Death Metal, and you really, I mean, I need something that, like, the Aquaman person, the Wonder Woman person, the Teen Titans person, the Batman person, all want to buy this book that come into this. You gotta have this book. Like, everybody that bought Thor, I made sure they got Hulk, because Hulk Banner War is going on right now. and vice versa. That's a book that I know I'm selling to two different audiences sometimes. I mean, Hulk and Thor guys are pretty much the same anyway, but it's not always. And this is the thing that you're able to, like, get people together, and maybe they'll start reading Hulk or Thor. Maybe they'll start reading some of those other titles that DC puts out when Dark Crisis comes. We'll see.
Shall see. We do have some super chats. Let's hear what the people are saying. We've got first up, Sigmund Comics. We got HH. Shout out to Wes and the crew from St. Louis Fan Expo. Lots to be sad about in Comics Day, but on Tuesday, Here Comes Calico 5 will make Jaws drop. Stay tuned. Absolutely. Definitely be checking that out on a Kickstarter. And it sounds like the Sigma Comics crew are in my neck of the woods. I'm actually from the Kansas City area, so I'm on the other side of Missouri. So that should be fun. If you're in the St. Louis area, definitely go out to the St. Louis Fan Expo and see if you can talk to HH, the guys. Those guys are great. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. And we'll be talking to HH soon here on the channel, and we'll talk a little bit about Here Comes Calico 5 as well. Wolfstein 3D says, streaming services compete on volume, and if you produce a lot of things, you can't keep it fresh and exciting for long. Yeah, everything's kind of binging right now. So once your binge is over, Doc, you kind of feel unsatisfied.
Yeah, pretty much. And you also realize when you look back at it, you just watched an obscenely long movie that was mostly padding.
Yeah, it didn't need 3 episodes.
Yeah.
Didn't need 3 issues.
Yeah.
Could have been told in 2.
Yeah, exactly. But you didn't need 8 issues that could have been told in 2.
Right.
In just the same way, like, even as much as I enjoyed like the Daredevil Netflix show, that was 2.5 hours of content at best, spread out over 8 hours.
I saw a meme. They're like, would you like to watch this 10-hour movie? And the person's like, no. And they're like, would you like to watch this 10-hour movie broken into 1-hour segments that you watch all in a row? I'm like, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
sure.
Exactly.
I think people need credit scenes is really what it is.
So, Jim, you're the only guy that doesn't like Ram V, huh?
Yeah. I figured I'd slip that in the chat.
Did you read These Savage Shores?
Yes, I did. I actually
like
that.
that.
Yeah, I don't hate everything that he does. I think that I like more of his indie stuff, his other stuff, than his actual superhero stuff. He's a horror kind of guy there. It works for Swamp Thing a bit, though. That book kind of bores me, and I just worry. Again, though, that's
I thought his
something that
Catwoman was good, though.
Yeah, it was okay. I mean, it ended up coming after Joel Jones, so really, you're like, that's Lou Gehrig to the Wally Pip here coming in to throw that. It really, you are swinging low there when you come in, but he bores me. He actually is very heavy narration. It is just the style. It doesn't fit with me. Though I think having a real horror Batman story to go along with, I think that'll work out pretty well. I think that the Detective Comics might be something pretty good. And I think it's like Raphael Albuquerque on art, possibly, if I remember, that fits. So I think that it'll be good. I think people might get excited about it. It's just, I don't know. It's just his style. It bores me. It really does. But that's just me. People love him. They really do. But even with Venom, now, again, he takes a long time to tell a story. He likes to kind of veer away. Maybe it's just, again, my attention span is horrible.
I'm with you. He's better on a miniseries than an ongoing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Second that, by the way, Jim, you're right.
Okay, thank you. Oh my good, now I'm right. See, I'm like Doc.
I've tried with Ram V, and I think the detective though is going to be more along his lines.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think there's a reason to pay attention for sure.
Cal Lyle says, "Oh, sorry,
that's okay."
Cal Lyle says they need to keep Ava DuVernay away from kids because of Naomi. They had the 10 is the new 16 line. What does that say? That was a weird line.
16
was like
is the new 10.
No. There's a 10-year-old girl trying to flirt with a 30-year-old man.
Flirting.
And she says 10 is the new 16.
Yeah, that's bad.
Jesus
Only if you're
Christ.
entrapping somebody.
What?
And why are you shooting for 16 then?
No,
Chris
it's
Hansen
not
in
that.
this one?
That's creepy.
10.
Yeah.
That's bad writing. We got Cal Lyle. They need to not hire a prostitute to write comics.
Yes.
That's what T. Franklin is. Don't argue, and she's a drunken pity case.
Yes.
She talks
I
about
don't think
being a
it's
professional
drinking
sex worker.
though, necessarily.
I think it is. She does
She's
talk
got
about being
like those
drunk.
big.
She's a
big-
drunk.
Oh, really?
I don't
She's
know. I don't.
constantly going. She's done a lot of like videos of herself.
Yeah, I saw a bunch with a
piss
lot of
drunk.
smoke. That's
Oh
all.
boy, yeah.
Yeah.
But she's also done a bunch piss drunk.
Awesome. Well, you know what? That's great. At least she provides train wreck material in other areas too.
Hey, drunken hookers and child's entertainment totally go
All
together.
right.
That's a doc night
That's
out,
enough
man.
one on that one. Let's go to Dylan Lindsay. Hey guys, nice to see the bad comics didn't kill Doc. I stopped watching Titans when they ruined Jason Todd and the whole Red Hood storyline. Listen, if it's the last thing I do, I will give Doc a heart attack via bad comic books. I'm committed to the bit. What do you think?
More likely a stroke
Hey, it's
than a
close
heart
enough.
attack, because you'd have to get my blood pressure way the fuck up.
I'll find something, man. We're gonna get it done one of these days. But
Hey, and I got to tell you, for being a fat guy, I got freakishly low blood pressure. Like 90 over 60 is like me stressed.
well, you might have what is it? You might be hypotensive.
Well, mine is freakishly
That's
low.
like the opposite end. That could be bad too. Depending.
I'm fine with it. I am way
Eat
too
more
fucking
soup,
short.
Doc. Get yourself in shape.
Fuck your soup.
How's your cholesterol there, Doc? Let's get into the whole medical background. here.
Cholesterol's a
Is that-
little high.
A little high.
TMI.
A little high.
Little
I
Samani
still-
brothers getting to you.
Yeah. Hey, look, I'm from Pittsburgh. We put fries on fucking everything.
Now you do. I love that. I'm from Philadelphia. We're just as bad. So
Oh,
You put cheese whiz on sandwiches and call it.
you just said fries on a sandwich, and now you're going to say something
You're talking
about
like he's talking cheese whiz out of a can. Cheese
Yeah,
whiz in
yeah.
the jar is completely different.
It's fine. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
delicious.
It's not squeezed cheese. It's jarred
Yeah.
cheese. That's fine.
Squeezed
Get out of here,
cheese.
Cal Weil says, which DC character would you rescue from SJWs and try to make them go upwards? I want to rescue Nubia, Wonder Woman. How about you? I would rescue the Teen Titans from Tim Sheridan. Hopefully that happens soon. Now, Josh, you are the DC aficionado. Which character would you want to rescue?
DC Comics.
All of it. Yeah.
It needs it.
The
Like
Super
I
Friends.
was literally going through and I was just like listing characters in my head and I was like, fuck it, just all of the above, everyone, just save everyone, please.
Not Tim Drake. I figured he'd be the one.
Sure.
You're a Batman guy. That's like probably the most underutilized, misused character in all Batman.
I would say out of the Batman characters, I would definitely he's probably the one that needs it the most. Yes, because God, he's just been ruined.
Mhm.
Do they really put fries on burritos in California?
Some places do, but it's also kind of like it's a shtick thing. It's not like a common thing. It's like, hey, we have this one burrito that's got fries on it.
Yeah, but that's the one I would order. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. It's not like
They're not
I'm sure if
healthy
you wanted-
fries, right? We're talking real oil, none of that canola crap, right?
Yeah. No, like, and it's like you go to like
Some duck fat.
a taco truck or some type of food truck, and they'll have like options, but then they've got that one burrito that they call like the behemoth or something, and it's got just everything in the kitchen sink in it, including French fries. There is a sandwich place called Fat Sal's, and their whole thing is like, hey, when you're like super high at college and you just like find everything in your freezer and make a sandwich, that's what Fat Sal's is. Look it up, Fat Sal's. Crazy sandwiches.
Very nice. Jim, which DC character do you want to say?
I would go with Josh, all of them. But I'm telling you, the weirdest thing is Batman, maybe. I mean, it's crazy, but the guy can't solve anything lately. He just ends up where everything just ends up blowing his mind. He's behind the eight ball every step of the way. And they seem to think that that's interesting. They go from, oh, we don't want a bat god. I just want a competent Batman, just somebody who can get an idea. I mean, right now you have Shadow War going on, and there is the huge hint that there's somebody that can move rocks and earth and things like that. Maybe say a geoforce, but yet he's wondering whose Taylor is whose and where this guy got a cut. He just doesn't do anything. And like Mariko Tamaki, especially at Detective, she has Batman just being a dummy. He does. So I just need Batman to be competent. That's it. And then, like Josh said, everybody else. Tim Drake, you don't get anything from, and then you just kind of throw out stuff, and then he just disappears for a while again. Then to actually come back and reiterate, they need a lot of different things. They need to get their main, core heroes back to being competent, being something that you want to read, and not just, side characters and things like that would be what I would say.
Now,
all right, Yule, if you had a chance, who would you save?
I don't like DC Comics right now.
It's all of them.
Like, yeah, I kind of feel the same way. Maybe I'd say like Superman or the Superman family. It's rough because like I know what they're doing. I mean, I see what they're doing, and I just don't care. And I don't even know if like, would you throw out a life preserver or a concrete block? Millstone. I guess the Superman family. I really like Teen Titans when they were Teen Titans, when they had the new cast, they were different, but it read like, the old Wolfman Perez stuff, or maybe the Jeff Johns stuff that came out not too long ago. And it was, it was whimsical and serious and angsty, and it was everything you kind of want in a Teen Titans book. But this Teen Titans Academy, I was like one issue and I'm done. When that rag person, I'm a rag. That's all you needed to say.
Stitch.
Whatever.
Walking quilt.
I'm a rag. I'm a throw towel.
All right, Eric. Which do you have a DC character in particular that you think needs to be saved?
Yes, Green Lantern, all of them. Especially Hal. Let's save Hal Jordan from pansexuality. Let's save John Stewart from the depth of the Justice League. He's like, now he's overpowered. Let's save Guy Gardner from Tom Bloody King. Let's save Simon Boz. Let's give him something to do. I mean, he's probably, what is he doing?
He's like the White Lantern now. He's the conduit between the Dead Lanterns and the Living Lanterns now. That's his spot.
Oh, and you know what? I like Jessica Cruz as a character. She's
weird. A Yellow Lantern.
I really liked the Bruce Timm animated Justice League versus the Final Five, and because Jessica Cruz was a huge character in there, and they brought in Starboy too from the Legion of Superheroes, which I think was great because he suffers from stress and anxiety. I can identify with that, and I was really impressed with that animated release a couple of years ago. Loved it. When they put in the Superman music, when Superman swooshes in to save the kid, I got goosebumps,
Absolutely.
But yeah, Green Lantern, man, that they just need Jeff Johns and Ivan Rice again. Let's just go back to what works. Adventure stories.
That's a long ass list, Callum. Everybody needs to be saved.
I got mine.
Well, you don't even like DC Comics. You're the Marvel guy. Okay, Doc, who you saving?
All right. Well, first, you know what? Somebody else did hit on this one. Batman, because he can't solve shit. Because every writer that's worked on him, the deepest mystery literature that they've ever read was like fucking Hardy Boys or Nancy Drew.
Yeah.
So if it's any more convoluted of a mystery than a Hardy Boys or Nancy Drew book, they ain't read it, and then therefore they can't create it.
Now Encyclopedia Brown, that would be good.
but what I would save is very simple. I would save the entire Wildstorm universe from DC.
Yeah, Jim Lee sold his soul to get that deal.
Yeah.
And it was a mistake.
Man, remember when when Warren Ellis was writing Stormwatch? I loved that book.
That was great times.
That was a
Warren
great
Ellis,
time.
Mark
Right.
Miller, Ed Brubaker,
Grant Morrison.
Grant.
Oh.
No, Grant. Fuck Grant. Fuck
I always
Grant.
got him to say it.
Yeah, it's not soup, Doc.
Hey, well,
Hey,
We're
maybe
not talking about
Keep
soup.
your junk out of my soup, dude.
keep your Grant out of my fucking Wildstorm.
He only
Every
did
time
one
he's-
issue.
He did one issue of Wildcats, 2 issues of The Authority, and then he still came back to fuck up The Authority again. Like last year or earlier this year, whenever the fuck that was.
I know,
Fuck
I know
Grant.
all
Keep-
Doc's buttons. He's so easy to get him.
Fuck Grant.
Cal Lyle. Off topic, I'll admit I like some of Gail Simone's stuff, but has she always been a backstabber? I don't know about the backstabbing stuff, but there was a time when Gail Simone had some of the best dialogue in comic books.
Agreed.
Didn't always,
Mhm.
didn't always
Yeah,
have the
but-
best story, but always had real good dialogue.
The Birds
You
of
know-
Prey stuff was decent, and I really liked Villains United. I think that the whole Infinite Crisis age, I really dug that era of DC Comics, and I thought she did a really good job with like Secret Six and those books back then.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because it's and I think we see this with a lot of writers in general. It's like when she first came on, there were a lot of naysayers against her, and she came in with this mindset: I have to prove myself. And she did. She did good work for quite a few years. Like, Birds of Prey, Secret Six, there's stuff that she did that was really good. And you see this with a lot of other writers that come in maybe from a different industry or whatever. Not always, but sometimes you'll see that they have to, this mentality of I have to prove myself. And then once they get ingrained, they just start phoning it in and it just starts sucking terribly. So I kind of see her falling into that.
You sure it's not just Brian Michael Bendis syndrome, and you've seen what she's done, and that's all she's done, and really maybe the
I
first
think
stuff
it's
wasn't that so good either.
Possibly. I feel like she's got actually a
I hate
decent writing to
Catman.
her.
That Secret Six. I can't stand it.
One
didn't
trick pony.
One trick.
Even the original run, you didn't.
Speaking
you
of
didn't like
backstabbing,
Oh,
you'll
can't
just sticks it
stand
right between the
villain
shoulder
books.
blades of
She
Eric.
doesn't even
My
know
goodness.
the characters and
That's
doesn't write
fine.
them correctly. Birds of Prey was better way before Gail Simone got her paws on it.
Claws. She's a
Claws,
catwoman.
paws.
She's a cat lady. You can
I hate Gail Simone. She's like
Yeah.
she's like a step above Devin Grayson to me.
Ooh.
That's low. That's like Tim Seeley low. You know?
Galb says, do you think Jim Lee will be held accountable or will use his innocent little Asian card? I don't think he probably has an innocent little Asian card. He's an executive. He probably makes well over $1 million a year. And he does have a connection with comic fans that a lot of people don't. He sold more comic books of one issue than anybody in the history of comic books. So he's got some credentials. He's certainly got some bona fides. But DC is just really bad right now.
Yeah.
What was the last complete floppy that Jim Lee did? Does anyone know?
Suicide Squad in
Yeah.
the Rebirth.
Okay.
I thought it was did he
I was-
not do any of the full issues of the Terrifics?
He did
No,
a
he
half
didn't
of
do
an issue
terrific.
of
No.
Immortal Men.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he only made half an issue on that one.
That was a rough one. That read like the Wildcats #1. So
Oh, you know
clunky.
what? No, that actually made no, that New 52 was after that. Never mind.
AL says Asians are white adjacent. Don't forget. So there you go. He might not even have a card. We got Cal Lyle. What's good? Do you think the reason why people are trying to damn Superman is because he's the white man's hero? I've heard that. I think that is something to do with it. Yes.
White Jewish
Yeah,
man's
there's a-
hero.
Well, his Superman is the pinnacle of a form of masculinity, and there's just a lot to be. He's a big target, and he can take the punishment too because he's Superman. Yet he's got 83 years of momentum behind him, not inertia, but a momentum of publishing and story and of interest. But boys traditionally have looked up to Superman in a way, and that's where the value is to take him apart and to replace with whatever postmodern junk they're trying to sell us. And It's like what Grant Morrison said is Superman's greatest weakness is his writers.
And I agree. The thing also with Superman to me is that a lot of these new writers who don't know anything about the characters they're writing, they're going with that, trope, that tired line of Superman's boring. You can't do anything. And I think they're just playing that up of, I'm not even going to try. Let's do it the opposite way and try to tear them down, thinking that's interesting and thinking that people want that. But obviously they don't. And it's tough. It is bad that they think, that hype or lack of hype of something that isn't really true because they haven't read the comics and the good stuff probably of Superman to realize what is the, things that you can write and love about the character. They just take it as, hey, he's boring. He's this. And again, he's this big guy, strong guy. They just don't want that.
Yeah, I think too, like part of his morality, I feel like generally speaking, the idea and concept of Superman is tied to these like 1950s kind of morals and lifestyle and American dream type thing. And so many younger people these days just push against that as that idea, that notion is just bad. It's crazy.
There's a joke I can make here right now that
Not needed.
no.
I'm listening.
Nope.
A man in Nantucket, I hope it starts with.
I'm with
Was a
Doc.
man
I
from
just don't see the draw of Grant Morrison. Not gonna lie, I started reading comics with the New 52. I felt like I was on an acid trip reading Action Comics.
Yeah, that's the experience of reading Grant Morrison, and totally.
That's when he
man,
doesn't
we're
just
the
like
same way.
nope out because he doesn't like the reviews because he's a giant pussy.
But Doc wasn't right.
Yeah.
He's just kind of siding with you a little bit. So I do appreciate that, Dylan Lindsay. Thank you for not going too far with that comment regarding Doc. We don't want him to get too big for his britches. Gal Wow, I want to see Tom King, Tom Taylor, and Vita Ayala, and every trail of the Amazon's team writers' heads roll out the door.
Wait a second. Tom,
He
I
wants to
see.
Tom King, Tom Taylor, Vita Ayala, and the other writers on
Gotcha.
Trial of the Amazons fired.
Yes.
Who wants to write Wonder Woman really though? I mean, we've
Greg
seen
Rucka. I think
All
that's
right.
it.
All right. So of all
I guarantee
the
you
past,
Josh McDonald would knock that book out of the park.
this guy.
Who?
I'm in.
Who? Look, if you gave me who little WWE actually for you.
That's right.
If I had the chance to write Wonder Woman, I would, because I think there's so many things that you can do with that character. And if you approach it almost like trying to write an epic, I think that's kind of the route you have to take. Like we talk about all these Greek mythologies that we love, if you came into that with that mindset, and I'm not necessarily saying Greek gods, I'm just saying how they used to write those stories. If you come into it with that mindset, you could write a really good story. There's good work that can be done here. I just don't think we have competent people there to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like there's people that kind of don't want to write Superman, it feels like, or it's almost like a dreaded task. And I think Wonder Woman's kind of the same way.
Yep.
There have been good writers in the past, but God, it doesn't feel like it when there's a good writer, it doesn't feel like it's followed up with a really great superstar writer also. You know what I mean? It's like it doesn't continue to the next one. There's always somebody good working on Batman. Check out this artist, check out this writer. We're really, even Tom King was a hot property when he was writing Batman during that time. Tom Taylor has, his people. I'm not a big Tom Taylor fan either. I put him pretty low also. But
I like this stuff on Injustice. I mean, that
No, a
stuff
lot of
I like
people-
really easy.
I can
I
copy
feel like
the
What
the-
Ifs and Elseworlds are
I
a
can
little
copy
different.
I can copy the script that somebody else made for a video game too. Doesn't make me a good
Right.
writer.
He's just like left to his own devices. I've not enjoyed his stuff, and I can't even speak. Oh, I think I read a New Mutants that Vita Ayala wrote, and it was
I'm sorry.
whatever, But she's using the Shadow King, and he's in more than one issue, and I'm like, I'm out.
His favorite X-Men villain. I just never could stand the Shadow King.
Yeah, me either.
We got Robin in the Hood. If you need to know just how unintelligent Gail Simone is, she really thought she was onto something with Frigid.
we howled when Ron Mars did what he did in that issue of Green Lantern. We thought it was
I think
the
that was the point.
funniest, most
Oh, you
hack
laughed.
thing possible.
Because Ron Mars is a hack.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's all the way back then we were calling him a hack. You
Yeah.
know? And like we thought it was the funniest thing in the world that no, he's not gonna no. And then we laughed, you know. And yeah, Gail Simone and the fridging thing. Oof.
Look,
It's a writing
me,
trope that's
Ron
been used for
Mars.
thousands and thousands of years. Just
Yeah.
because it wasn't executed well doesn't make it valid.
yeah,
Agreed.
I can find any trope, literary trope used poorly and try to make somehow an argument that just because it got used poorly, it's a bad trope.
Have you ever seen their repartee when they're talking about it? You know, like, oh, I don't mean this guy necessarily. It's the fridge. It's the exact thing. This is exactly the reason why you did that and made that site. And you give him, like, you don't care that Ron Mars did it, your buddy.
And I will never forgive Ron Mars because he gave us Gail Simone as a result of his own hackery.
Yeah.
Then hey,
Now,
look, the next
wants to know, Eric, are you on Instagram?
I am not on Instagram, but I am on Twitter and the YouTubes.
Dude, why aren't you on Instagram?
I don't know. I don't want to have too
You
many.
can't do
too
Reddit.
many
You can't
apps.
do Discord. You can't do Instagram.
I'm a boomer. I'm a Luddite. I don't want too many
But
apps.
you can do Pokemon Go.
No, I got Pokemon this. That's
Oh,
about
you got
it,
the
you know.
Pokemon plushie.
I get the plushie, and I got a drinker plushie too. I really
I
wanted.
thought that was a wrestling buddy. I thought maybe it was an old school Macho Man. Then I got a good look
That's
at
Critical
it.
Drinker, and I wanted a Fatal J plushie. That's what I really want.
Wait, is he making those?
I don't know. I just thought of that. I was like,
He should have like a burrito in his hand,
I want
or
a
maybe a
Fatal J
microphone
plushie.
in
accessories.
his face.
Yeah,
you know?
he's got to have some type of thought bubble you can like Velcro to him about Zack Snyder.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's like different Zack Snyder word balloons, like
Squeeze him and
greatest ever.
He's got a voice box in him.
Restore.
Maybe you're onto something. Maybe people would like that. I know he's got another crowdfunding book coming up somewhat soon. We've got Gal Lyle said, speaking metaphorically, do you think there needs to be another British invasion, but people who want to write true heroic stories? I'll write Nubia. I think Ram V is part of the British invasion, isn't he? Who else can we get? We can get Andy Diggle. I think he's British.
Andy
Yeah, but
Diggle's
those
been
guys have
around
all
for
kind of
20
moved
years.
on, mostly. Yeah,
He's going to be a
they need
second.
to find new crop.
Hey, I got a great one.
Where's the new crop?
Warren Ellis. He could totally do it.
Yeah, I would love to see some Warren Ellis comic books. I would buy them in a heartbeat.
He could just call himself Ellis Warren this time.
I just want a good writer invasion.
Yeah.
Right?
And
Competency invasion.
Yeah,
you know,
that would be good.
I think
don't
it
care
comes
where it
down
comes
to editors too. Like you need to find
Yeah.
editors that understand what good writing is, and I mean that on a technical term.
Mhm.
Like our editors suck right now.
They do. And,
Well,
and at
Josh,
DC
you got put in your place for mansplaining the 5-act story.
Hey, it
You
happens.
mansplained to sisters. What were you thinking?
I mansplained the sisters, and then I went back and I was like, no, I've mansplained people that aren't female things and gave links. But it just a basic understanding of a language and how to write and structure. And when I say structure, I mean story structure and sentence structure, and then understanding your characters need to have different voices. And hey, shocking, understanding your characters. Period. It goes a long way. Get editors that encourage that.
For the
and you'll get
record,
good writers.
For the record, the best response when somebody says that you're mansplaining is to explain what mansplaining is. It means it's man explaining.
Yeah.
And man spread while you mansplain, please.
I was
Yeah.
about to say I'm going to throw a bit about manspreading in there as well.
We got
Oh, you don't have
Joey
to
R.
throw a bit in. You just spread it out.
Joey R75 says, Wes, are you still reading Marvel's Alien? I'm at the point where I just throw it in the recycle bin when it actually shows up on my door. So here's the funny thing. I really like Alien comics. It doesn't even matter if they're good. And I do like Philip Kennedy Johnson. Like his Action Comics is really good. But I just fell off of that Marvel Alien book. It just wasn't compelling. It's kind of boring. How do you make an Alien book boring?
Give it a Marvel.
Apparently, they just lost the Conan license. So that should get people excited, right?
Wait, they
just
lost
announced.
it?
They did.
Yes. In by the end of the year, they will release their very last Conan comic.
All right, so
So-
Savage, so they're gonna relaunch Savage Avengers just to end it again.
So like 7 issues of that or something.
Well, they'll probably just replace him on the team. You'll still have, Mr. Dr. Voodoo or whatever be in charge or something. I don't know.
Yeah, but that's the point. The whole point of Savage Avengers was for it to be the Conan book,
Mhm.
like sticking Conan on an Avengers title.
But it's unfortunate. I mean, I could probably still read it and get some enjoyment out of it because I do like Alien Comics, but I don't know. That thing was pretty boring. Not a lot going on there.
And Marvel's got some omnibuses coming out for Aliens, the reprints of those Dark Horse ones, those black and white Dark Horse comics.
Now
Those
we're
were
talking.
best, man.
Yeah. You want to read a really good Alien comic, you go back to James Stokoe's, what is it, Dead Orbit?
Yeah,
That was the
that's
last great Alien story we got in comic books. I think it was badass.
And you know what I love about Aliens too, because it plays so well with different properties. Like I loved the Alien Green Lantern crossover, and I loved what Warren Ellis and did to Stormwatch by introducing xenomorphs and decimating the entire team. That was creepy and that was great.
I love that it was Wildcats aliens and they killed Stormwatch.
Oh God, yeah.
He's like, "Oh, I'm going to do a Wildcats aliens crossover, and I'm going to kill the team of the ongoing series that I'm writing."
Mm-hmm. And then he gave us the Authority, and that's what we
Yes.
got out of that. And that was what great times to be a comic book fan. Yeah.
Gobbin says, which guest star comic character like Hellboy or TMNT would you want to see playable in Injustice 3? I would like to see Radiant Black.
I say All Might from My Hero Academia. I'm just going to throw that out there. Would be kind of cool.
You would
God of
destroy
Destruction,
everybody.
Vegeta.
Get some manga characters in there. Who do you want to
Yeah.
see playable in there, Doc? You want to see Spider-Man?
Oh, that would be
Oh, Paste Pot Pete
Paste Pot Pete.
or the Vanisher. I want the Vanisher where you just can't see him.
an OP Forbush man. That would be great.
Yes. Oh, D-Man. D-Man.
And yes.
I'm the D-Man. Let's
The
get that
stinky
straight.
one, right?
Yeah, the one that wears the Wolverine mask with the Daredevil costume
Yeah.
and the Captain America shield and lives in the sewers and he's homeless.
Well, now he's like.
Was that
the
in
gay
Captain America's
babysitter
of
I
now.
United
think that's
States?
me.
No. This was D-Man is from like the fucking 80s.
But it was supposed to be a parody, right?
It was a
He
joke.
was-
Today, that would
was,
be a
uh,
normal character that they thought was empowering.
They were going to call him Kylan, but they realized they were going to use that later on.
Yeah.
So important.
With another
Man, I should be
Wolverine
able to play
knockoff.
video games again soon. Maybe one day we'll get on Twitch or something and have some fun together. Cal Lyle says it's the Brad invasion. It's not the British invasion.
Oh, I like that. That's
Yeah,
where we are now.
we've been trying to figure out what to call this era, the Brad invasion.
I
It
think the
works.
fanfic era seems to be what people are really
Yeah.
good
We're
at.
lucky.
It feels like it, but you got bratty creators for sure.
Absolutely.
That
I
would-
think we're
huh?
lucky Donny Cates is as good as he is because
He's a child too.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Well, that's what I'm saying. He's like, I think he's kind of like the best of the bunch, you know, especially
He's-
over at Marvel.
And he's still a bitch.
He's still kind of a bitch, yeah.
I
I
had
go with that.
someone that they're predicting that Dottie is getting ready to come out as like non-binary or something.
No, really?
I'm sure
He must have a new book coming out.
he needs relevance.
He's been doing a lot of makeup stuff.
Yeah,
Really?
eyeliner.
All right, very good, cool.
That was the prediction I heard. I guess we'll
You got to
see, but-
do that when you're
Is-
burning candles and sacrificing the dead, your bodies,
Listen,
you know. and stuff.
Writing a good comic book will not get you a headline or any type of marketing these days. You got to do something else to get yourself noticed.
Is he doing more than just eyeliner and like fingernail polish though? Because I know he's always trying to give off this like punk emo rock type thing, and that's always kind of been consistent with that vibe.
Emo, huh?
I know. Fucking Iggy Pop did that shit in the 70s.
But that's my point. Like it's always kind of been tied to like rock or emo rock. Like eyeliner and
Changes
fingernail
his hair
polish.
color.
Yeah, I've seen
He
that.
does all that. That must be just like when, you know, the members of Blackpink change their hair color. That means an album he's changing his hair color because a book's coming out. You see, it all makes sense now. I just had to, you know, throw in the Blackpink here if we're going to go Pokemon.
What the fuck is a Blackpink?
Don't worry about it, Doc. You
Don't
shouldn't be
worry
doing that.
about
You'd be on a list. Don't
Okay.
do it.
Doc, come on. You know, Doc, don't lie. You know you have Blackpink posters all over your wall.
That's it.
I
right,
Hell yeah.
right along with the Spider-Gwen posters. You're
Exactly.
don't come on, man. Come
Is
on.
it a comic?
No, it's
Doc, don't
it's
don't
a
Google
K-pop
it. You'll be
band.
all
Doc
right.
just told me that Rose is his bias. I don't know. He
Nope,
must know
nope,
a little more.
Somebody said the magic words, and I'm just shutting the fuck up now.
Dill Lindsay says Judge Dredd versus Alien was fun. Good thing about being relatively new to comics is there's plenty of old things to go back and read.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, there's only about 80 years of history though, so you don't have to get stuck in all the crap that's going on right now. There's a lot of fun stuff to go out there and have some fun with.
Rediscover. Yeah, I'd like to go back and get like an omnibus of some Golden Age Wonder Woman. That stuff is just talk about subversive. Seriously, that stuff. I've been just thumbing through some old stuff and just like, wow. Well, I like the art, but still, this is cheeky as all hell for like mid 1940s.
Very nice. You mean cheeky in attitude, not like butt cheeky, right?
A little of both, perhaps.
Ah, that's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about. Now you got my attention.
Yeah, no, at a candy, she's thick.
It is.
That's a whole lot of woman.
Dark Admiral March here says Bendis' Bratfist Club.
Look,
Yeah.
Who would have thought Bendis would destroy comic books? He
Demented
was so
and
hot
sad
at one
and
time,
social.
right?
Well, he said
at
he
this
wanted to,
point,
right?
I would take the Bendis crew and all of his cronies over who we're actually getting. Like, let's be honest.
Well, isn't that like that Chelsea Kane then also or whatever?
Chelsea.
They are
Whatever her name
buddies.
is.
She's
I'm
important.
not really a big fan. I don't know.
Would
I
you
can't
rather have a
think of-
Chelsea Kane Catwoman or a Tinny Howard Catwoman? Would
I'm
you
not
rather
gonna
have a
read
Chelsea
either.
Kane Wonder
Really?
Woman or a Stephanie Phillips Wonder Woman?
Neither.
These are
None of
bad
the
choice.
Stephanie
Answers
Phillips.
now.
Where did she come
Sophie's
from?
choice. I mean,
Wow.
Stephanie Phillips
Yeah.
is really bad.
Yeah,
Reminds
this is
me of-
like, do you want to cut off your left thumb or your right thumb? You know, it's like, well, neither.
When
I
you
think
need
one of
more,
the
you're-
problems, especially at DC, like Josh was saying about the editorial deal, I don't think that DC itself has any editors that have any sort of clout or any respect from these writers. That's why you have this Brat Fest club going on, that there aren't you need like a Bill Belichick in here to start yelling things, and people have to listen
Jim Shooter.
because of the deal. Or, you know, when you go back and you look at the editors now, and then at one point you had Denny O'Neil as the Batman editor. I mean, there's a little bit of a difference going
Marv
on.
Wolfman was on Superman. as
Marv
the
Wolfman,
editor.
yeah. And so I
Christopher
don't think they
Bridges.
have an editor now that is able, especially at DC, that's able to say, hey, you can't do this, or I want this. And these writers just rule the roost now, and these writers suck. So they shouldn't. And it's infuriating. It really is.
I'm with you, brother. That's a good some good sentiments here. We got Common Sense. Heard D-Man is gay now. How could anyone named D-Man be gay? That's such a butch name. He's going to be in the Marvel Pride Month 2022. I never read D-Man, but I remember him as the worst hero. Now he's a gay ginger. Their words.
Yeah, he is. He came out in Spider-Woman when he was being nanny to her kid.
Man,
think it's
remember
when it
those
was.
Spider-Woman covers where she's like 9 months pregnant and
Mhm.
beating people up?
I got to admit though, the art was really fantastic in that series, and there was some really cool stuff when she's fighting the Skrulls. And that story was okay. I forget who that was, like writing that, but yeah, she was pretty pregnant in those covers.
Someone that's been around a woman that's been 9 months pregnant 3 times.
Well,
Shit,
you know,
yeah.
she was going to get looked at by space doctors when the Skrulls invaded, and she was the only person that was worthwhile to go and defeat them. And it was a more a humorous situation, but you know, she's probably got some
Peter Porker wasn't available. You know what I'm saying?
no Spider-Verse people. She was on the Alpha Flight ship with a whole bunch of Doctor Alien people.
All right. We've got Lade Kramer about to go get comics. Is Banner of War #1 good? It's fun.
It's solid.
How's that?
It's okay.
It's a solid start. it didn't need its own alpha issue.
No.
It could have just been one issue of either Thor or Hulk, really. It could have just been the next issue, and then it be, however many parts within those two books.
I kind of wish it was a free comic book day, just a quick story. I mean, what you got in that, a big fight, a video game kind of esque deal, and recap, you could have maybe thrown it out there for that.
But it's not bad. In today's
No.
comic book market, it's pretty good.
No, and the fact that they are making it a crossover instead of a event unto itself, I consider progress.
It's a win.
Back to sanity in publishing. I mean, it's the same thing that, like, it doesn't kind of make sense. This is this thing that probably should have been a mini. It could, if they're going to do it as a crossover, do it all as a crossover. But since there was nothing that led to it, it feels like just kind of an out of continuity miniseries to a degree. Whereas it's making the opposite mistake that Venom did with King in Black and Absolute Carnage.
Okay.
So
I want to say this, Lane. If you want a really good comic book that's got some characters that you probably like, get Saturday Morning Adventures G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. Issue 3 came out this week. Get the first 2 issues as well, and you're going to thank me. It's even better than that Thor Hulk book. It's absolutely fantastic. Boy Type says, what do you all think of the copyright reset being pushed in U.S. Congress? If passed, a ton of OG characters would go into public domain, Superman, Cap, and whatnot. I don't think it'll go through.
No.
I think Disney and their lobbyists are far too powerful.
Disney, Warner, they'll all, and honestly, a lot of estates.
Mm-hmm.
You'll end up with the same estates that are currently fighting to get control back. Fighting alongside Disney and Warner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if it did go through, I think that would be a win for customers, but I don't think there's any chance that it will actually make it, unfortunately. Cal Lyle asks, how would you make Wonder Woman's villains good and try to make them memorable like Batman and Spider-Man, or do you think it's too hard? Josh, you are the DC guy and you are a writer. What would you do?
I think she actually has a couple of decent villains. I think the problem that she's got some hokey villains. All the characters have hokey villains, but I think the problem that we find is they keep going back to the same ones over and over and over again and doing the same thing over and over and over again. And, like your heroes, your villains have to have some type of growth as well. That's it in a nutshell. So,
yeah,
I think it also kind of, you have to know what you're trying to do with Wonder Woman also.
100%.
Is she someone that lives on an island with a bunch of ladies? Is she in America trying to be, an ambassador? Is she just a superhero? Is she like sick of it all and wants to have a normal life? Any of that type of situation, you have to know what you're trying to do.
Is she a member of the Mod Squad?
Exactly. And then you can set your villains up that way. And, you should take her classic villains, and if they're racist, then change them up like an egg foo or whatever. And, make them, good for today. Steal one from somebody, or Mongol, whoever it may be. And then, just try and craft a story and have superhero stories where she's solving problems and saving the day. And then you can get into your big arc type stuff later on. But that's what I would like if I was editor and I'd say, these are the things I want to do. I want you to figure out what's up with Wonder Woman. I want you to craft some characters that are new, take some that are old, and then get one of those pre-existing other characters, like do a Kingpin to her, like with Daredevil.
I think there's a problem with that. You can't really get a great villain when every writer now wants Wonder Woman to redeem every villain that she comes across. She ends up not wanting to defeat them, or, it's always redemption for her. And it has to be that they've gotten rid of the idea of Wonder Woman being a warrior anymore,
right?
Except certain types of warriors. But she ends up, she wants to redeem things. So why bother making any sort of big great villain when all you're going to do at the end is say, well, they're not that bad. Oh, they're, you ended up having liar in Mariko Tamaki, and she couldn't even keep track of what that character was. And at the end, It's not your fault. We'll help you out. And then it just kind of fades away. It's just kind of ridiculous.
So I do need to step in here, fellas. We do have someone that's going to check out a little bit early. Doc, you got a date or something?
Yeah, girlfriend and I have some stuff to do this afternoon.
Nice.
Dipping out on your homies like that is not good by the bro code. Do you have any comic books that you want to recommend this week?
Not really. I mean, Banner of War, the Hulk, Thor one shot was all right. I mean, it's a solid start. I'm curious to see where it goes. X-Men 11 was mediocre also. I really suggest going out to your local comic shop, digging through back issues, seeing what you can find. Some dollar bin dive in. You might have some luck there. Yep. You
got 2 minutes left. Talk about this Tini Howard interview. I'm sure you had something to say.
Oh, yeah. Ha 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 ha. I'm fucking right again. Hey, look, the lady that does nothing but try to make D&D comic books and shove X-Men into it talks about how much she likes playing D&D and shoving her fucking the X-Men into it. Shocking. The exact things that we've been pointing out that I've been pointing out, at least.
I've been pointing out, Doc. You were kind of jumping. Kind of riding my coattails on that one, buddy.
All right, fine, whatever.
It's not even just D&D. It's D&D
just,
now that video games have wormed their way into it. Talking about tanks and whatever, the DPS and all this other stuff these days.
Yeah, and talking about how am I not even slightly surprised that she was a LARPer? Not even the littlest bit.
And she's like defending it. And
bitch, go back to your tarot cards and leave my fucking X-Men comics alone.
LARPing could be cool. I think Eric LARPs, right?
Do I?
I heard that as well. I heard that.
I don't like. I got a buddy that does it, and I'm like, okay, that's your nerd shit. My nerd shit. I still can take a shower. I don't have to go and sit in the woods for like 3 days over a weekend without a bath.
They're getting drunk at night, though.
We really need to start shoving nerds back in lockers. Because Tinny, you know what? She needs shoved in a locker.
Really bad. Boogie. Doc has a date with a giant roast beef and curlies.
No, if I have. No, that would be Perch. I have.
Are you going to call your girlfriend the Big Montana?
No, I have a date with a fucking permani sandwich.
Yeah,
with the girlfriend. And actually, you know what though? After like all the talk we had earlier, now I want fucking street tacos. But I got to find a decent place. I mean, we're in Pittsburgh, so
Yelp it.
We don't. No, dude, I'm going out. Fuck that. I'm getting out of the house. It's nice, dude. It's a gorgeous day here today.
Yelp tells you the restaurants around you.
You're right. Forgot. But yes, we really need nerds back into lockers here, and we'll start with Tinny Howard. Someone find a locker and shove her into it, and don't let her out. Just keep doing it.
Someone find her a Dungeons and Dragons comic book to write so she can be happy and we can be happy. You know?
Yes. Just get out of my X-Men. You suck, lady. Get out.
All right, Doc. Is that it? Are you leaving us?
Yeah, I got a dip. I'll catch you guys later. Hey, thanks everybody.
Bye, Doc.
And
see you, Doc.
Bye.
Keep your dick out of my soup, Doc.
Yeah.
Fuck your soup.
Soup is delicious. What do you guys say? What did you think about this interview, Jim? Were you surprised? I think Tinny Howard's a terrible writer. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. The thing is, it doesn't surprise me. And I think that, as Doc was saying about shoving people in lockers, might have been a little too over the top, even though he's right. But the thing is, I think that it gets to this whole deal where, reading comics used to be the nerdy thing. That used to be the thing. But it seems like that's like everybody's trying to get this nerd cred in a way that you're getting away from what you're doing, right? Comics. I used to play role-playing games, tabletop. I never LARPed. And the one time I ended up going to a park and I saw some LARPing going on. I saw people dressed as wizards. They were throwing beanbags at each other, yelling magic missile, and I got the hell out of there. I mean, it was ridiculous. And not once did I sit there and think, you know what, that'd really make a good comic book. Or I think there's comic book writers here. When you end up and talking about Tom Brevoort earlier, the idea when you're in an interview talking about your comic, please talk about comics. Tell us why you are a good comic writer and what you have to give people that is comic based. Don't try to drag. LARPing, I don't think there's a huge population of LARPers. And are you just trying to grab that demographic for your book? I don't know, but it's odd. And it always seems like it gets down to the bottom line. Nobody nowadays really wants to write comics. They want to do other things. Maybe they're embarrassed the comics. And if you're throwing out LARPing as being cooler than actually writing comics, there's something wrong. And it just is infuriating. These interviews become either look at me, I'm a geek. Oh my goodness, I'm such a geek that you should love me. Or, I'd rather be doing something else. And it doesn't shock me. I've read, and her Catwoman, not bad. It's just very already disjointed, very much, scattered. And so, yeah, write a better comic and then do some interviews about comics is what you should do.
Eric, what's the LARP scene in Boston? Is it a big LARP community?
I don't know. I barely get out of the house anymore because
you've got a wizard costume.
Exactly. You got your beanbags. You yell magic missile over there.
Beanbags at your friends. Same magic missile.
Yeah, it's great. I said you dress up like Jimmy Page. You go out there and start throwing beanbags. That's all you need to do nowadays, and then you can write a comic, I guess.
Are you done, Eric?
I don't LARP.
I don't LARP.
You read that on the bathroom wall. You read that on the bathroom wall on an Arby's, didn't you?
He showed up at the park in a Pikachu costume, and next thing you know, he's LARPing. They're trying to take him out with wizard beanbags, and somebody breaks out a Pokemon ball. Like, what is going on here? I was just wearing my Pokemon costume. I don't know.
I will cosplay though. I've got a full-on Robin cosplay that's inspired by Brevoort's Robin, and I get green shorts, and it's a bright primary colors.
That's like one step away from LARPing. You just
that is LARPing. That's not one step. He's LARPing.
Yeah, you're LARPing.
No. He would be running around like trying to do something
trying to get rid of
a ball. You pull your arrow back, and then you throw somebody, and you hit him in the head with the beanbag.
And go, holy magic missile.
Batman. All right, Josh, you're back, right, buddy?
I'm back. Yes, sir.
What did you think of the Titty Howard interview where she couldn't actually answer comic book questions about comic books? She had to actually relate to things that she enjoys, like LARPing and, RPG tabletop gaming.
I mean, I think it's foundationally speaking, it's the problem with comic books right now. And it's fine to relate to other things, but if you don't have a foundation in comics, you shouldn't be writing comics. And it goes back to, I think, what we were talking about last week. Like, you've got all these creators that are writing for books, and they haven't even read the history of the books. Like, they just kind of get like a cliff notes or, comments, or they watch a cartoon or something, and that's what they base it off of. I don't know. I'm over here still trying to figure out, is LARPing as popular? I thought nobody did LARPing. I'd heard about it, and I was like, well, okay, cool.
You shouldn't be talking about Eric like that. He's on the channel.
I know. Well, sorry, Eric, but
I'm the new guy. You can bring it.
He's got a Robin Hood LARP.
But I'm super confused because I'm in Target one day and they've got this like Deadpool LARPing pop figure that you can buy. And then you watch Hawkeye and they've got a whole thing with the LARPers. And I'm like, how fucking popular is this? Like, I'm out of the loop. I feel old.
Yeah, I don't get. It's like you go to medieval times at your high school, trip to Florida, and all of a sudden you're part of the comic book writer. Yeah, I mean, even it's so ridiculous. It's so silly. I don't want to throw shade at it.
Let's stop hating on my origin story, okay? Come on now.
That is true. I'm
medieval
sorry.
times. Yeah, no, I'm kidding. I do like medieval times though. It's fun. Eat with your hands.
Yes.
I worked with a guy that LARPed once. We didn't hang out much.
I found out that one of the teachers that I had in high school LARPs.
Whoa. Was it one of your cool teachers?
Okay. Yeah, one of my high school teachers. He was the teacher that was in charge of the Key Club, and I was president of the Key Club. So I'm like,
Neo Star Productions says that he would LARP if he could afford the costume. Man,
I
do we
think
need to
you can-
do a GoFundMe for Neostar's LARPing costume?
I think you can do some cheap costumes. I don't think you have to get too crazy. Like I think they got like
Put a
This
pillowcase on it.
isn't
and just write
Warhammer
Wizard,
miniatures
you know what I
or
mean?
anything here. You just
Yeah.
need to
The
make a little
beanbags are
cape.
where it really hits you in the pocket.
or
That
the
is true.
nuts.
Well,
That is
maybe.
true,
Maybe
too.
you don't want to hit anybody in the nuts
Rules.
with your wizard magic.
We don't wear
Time
cups
out.
in the Middle Ages.
That's my point though. But
Cod
we're
piece.
expecting a lot of nerds to be able to throw with accuracy. You're gonna get racked. You're gonna have
Oh,
a
man.
beanbag hitting you in the nuts. It's happening.
Okay.
It's like kickball all over again.
Dodgeball, and I'm going for the head every time.
With a beanbag, that hurt.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
and my
the person
fist.
that hit me in the nuts was going for my head as well. It's just
That is
nerds.
True. That is true.
We do have a few super chats. We'll kind of start winding down here. We got Dylan Lindsay. This is his answer, Josh. He says, "Do an Olympus versus Asgard. That would be fun."
That could be fun. And that's the thing. Like if you've got like Wonder Woman, you can take all these other mythologies and play them into it as well. Like there's endless stories you can do. You just gotta pick a lane and go.
And Cal Miles says she should just quit and go to Wizards of the Coast. They're like Netflix; they'll hire anybody. And this is from someone who thinks D&D is a bad joke.
Wow.
I would probably do
Gotcha.
D&D. You get character progression stuff like this, but Wizards of the Coast would probably be a good landing spot for Titty.
Possibly. I mean, especially if they're big on the lore of the storylines of the cards. Kind of like a different aspect of collecting the cards. There's some people that collect it for the story, and I think she would be probably pretty good at doing that. And not only that, but she would have to pay attention to like the things that came beforehand, and kind of like stick with it. So I don't know. Maybe she
Common
couldn't
Sense
do it.
says, since we're talking about Titty Howard and D&D, got me curious if there were fantasy stories in X-Men. Well, Excalibur is kind of a fantasy story in X-Men. Have you heard of X-Men Wizard number 1/2? Have you heard of that one, Yule?
I don't know about X-Men Wizard 1/2, but I think it's in issues 191 and 192 of the Claremont John Romita Jr. run. And Kulan Goth is involved, and he reverts like Manhattan to medieval times. And there's like this barrier that people can't go in. Basically, if a ship were to go into this barrier, would turn into like a pirate ship type thing. Captain America has a shield and long hair, and he's like a barbarian type character. And
That's why Star Trek: The Next Generation was so good, because of the holodeck.
Yeah.
Going to medieval times, next thing you know, you're Sherlock Holmes.
All right, we'll not get on this subject right now.
You don't like Star Trek?
I don't like the holodeck. I think
I wouldn't want to clean it. You know
like
what
the
I mean?
first
But
or two, the first two times, that's enough. That's what I'm saying.
It's a filler episode.
But then it was like, oh, how like comedies always have to have like their Christmas Carol storyline, where Jacob Marley and all the ghosts and stuff like that. That's the holodeck for Star Trek, except it's every year and sometimes more than once. I hate it.
I really like Star
Hate
Trek.
what
I don't know what your problem is.
Nonetheless, check out those issues of X-Men.
Definitely. Cal Lyle says Critical Role will hire those mother effers had the same SJW fan crowd that scream on Twitter. What's Critical Role?
Critical Role is a Twitch series that has beautiful people on it. Cool kids people that would not have played D&D when I was a kid in school
Like me?
are now on Twitch, and they live role play at a table, not LARPing, and they're really pretty popular. They've got quite a lot of people that follow them. They have a couple of comic books that were created from their stuff. Dark Horse
should
puts
hire
those
Timmy.
out. Yeah, I don't know if she's as beautiful as them.
Yeah,
Well,
they're
she's
pretty
the writer
beautiful.
for the comic book. She's not in the show.
Well, it's role playing though. It's like people sitting.
You
It's
said
like
they have
us,
comic books. I'm
but
assuming
at a
they have-
table,
Oh.
role playing, and then you don't need to write the comic. It's already been done in front of you.
Oh.
He's and I mean, I'm assuming one of those persons does the writing or something like that.
Do you think Josh is pretty enough to make the show?
Yeah, actually, I think
Boom.
Josh could do
The
it, but
handsome
you
man.
ain't famous.
You got
enough
interest from
either.
who's the director that they hit on you, Josh?
It was Brian Singer.
Boom.
Oh damn! But that's like
That's a little sus.
I
how
was
old
a
were you
writer.
when he did this?
I was like 21, 22. I was.
He still
You
had
must have
abs.
looked younger then.
Interestingly, when I was in my teens, I passed for my early 20s, and as I got in my 20s, I just continued to look like I was in my early 20s as I went on. But yeah, no, I fit his preferences. I'll put it that way.
Have you ever talked to Kevin Spacey also?
No, I have not.
Why are you guys making it weird? Josh, you're pretty enough. You should try to get on a Critical Role.
I'm good. I'll pass.
Good.
I will pass.
So we do have 197 likes right now. So if you've been watching the channel, we're over 275 still, and you haven't given us a thumbs up and let everyone know that we're having fun here. Let's get over 200. That'd be a nice little achievement before we get this bad boy wrapped up. Robin in the Hood says, Wizard of the Coats don't even keep up with their own stuff.
200.
Feels like every hobby is getting destroyed right now, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it's on purpose. It's the war. There's a war against escapism.
Is it consumerism or escapism or
Escapism.
Oh, I think they still want you to
specifically.
spend money.
I think it's because activism is antithetically opposed to escapism, and activism seems to be the essential ingredient that's being pushed in all of these fictions, from Doctor Who to Star Trek to all of our Marvel and DC comics.
Star Wars.
Yeah, Star Wars. It's like enough already. We need a respite. We need to leave this world's problems behind, just for a few moments, and get lost in a fantasy world. And it's about activism, and it's about power fantasies, and
I'd like some more allegory in stories, a little bit more, rather than like just straight. Like I don't watch it, but Picard, I watched Red Letter Media talking about it, and they were just ripping the hell out of it. And these guys got like border crossing storylines. I'm like, this is Star Trek, and you're on Earth, and you're dealing with illegal immigrants. I mean, this is crazy.
There's a scene in the first episode of Strange New Worlds that has it shows a news feed of January 6th, and it's like, oh geez, like how's that Star Trek, you know?
Right.
And it's like Star Trek used to be balanced. It used to have
Holodeck rooms.
Here to go. We used to have Hawkman and we used to have Green Arrow, and they were two sides of the spectrum, but they were teammates. They had each other's back. They didn't necessarily like each other or each other's ideologies, but they definitely were teammates fighting for the same cause, and they could trust each other.
Right.
And we've lost that. We don't have Hawkman and Green Arrow bickering anymore, because we can't have any compassion for conservative voices, I guess.
Now it's
I
Black
don't get-
Canary coming in and telling them both why they're pieces of shit. Well, Naomi, I mean.
All right. Well, we got a couple more to get through, and then we'll start talking about our favorite comic books this week. We have Common Sense. Read Wonder Woman DK Ultimate Guide. It reveals that Wonder Woman has a rogues gallery. Has anyone heard of Angleman or Devastation?
Ooh, Angleman.
Yes.
I haven't read that issue.
Yeah.
But that's my point.
I-
you got
Remember him,
plenty of
Josh?
characters freshen it
I
up,
like-
and then you're good to go.
I've heard of them. I'm not gonna say I'm like experts on them, but I'm aware. Like to me, Angleman fits that hokey like '60s kind of like
Kite
type
Man.
of supervillain.
Mhm.
Sure, Kite Man. I think you can find fun things too. Angleman's like it's like how Two-Face was obsessed with twos. Angleman was obsessed with like angles and killing with angles and like.
Nice.
And what the angle of
know.
a crime is, and
Yeah, I mean it's just like all right, cool.
Is it a
Devastation.
cute?
like Devastation was that whole kind of trope and cliche of like, oh, we're gonna do the evil version of our character. So she kind of was like, it,
Oh yes, I know
Wonder
that
Woman.
character.
Yeah,
But black.
and then they did
Black
it again
on
with
garb and
Grail
stuff, yes.
yeah. So, I mean, yeah, there's stuff you could do, and if you want to do something kind of fun or funny with Engelman, like throw it in there. But, meh.
I have a customer that writes did the Batman book, I do believe. I don't know if it was DK, but it was something like that.
Very nice. We've also got Common Sense. Critical Roles can't be as hot as Savage Hearts comic. Is Savage Hearts hot? What are we doing here? Is it?
I
don't know. Savage Hearts. Is this a crowdfund thing? I don't know.
I'm assuming it's a Twitch stream.
Oh, well, it says comic though.
Maybe
I don't know
know
the answer to that. Well, I mean,
check it out.
When I say beautiful people, they're not really that hot looking or anything like that. It's just not who you would, when you think of your stereotypical Dungeons and Dragons players, you're not going to be thinking about the group that is in Critical Role. That's what I'm saying.
When I was in Korea, a couple of the guys that worked for me, one of them was a dungeon master and the other guys played with him. And they forever talked about this dude that would show up and just smelled like old mayonnaise. And my buddy's wife was always upset and stuff. So I didn't
Was he
even
a
say
fat
it.
guy?
That's typical.
Oh, he's fat.
Yeah.
He's always
Yeah.
he's got pit
They
stains.
smell
and all
like
that stuff.
buttermilk. I always when
That's rough.
Oh man. So it looks like Savage Hearts is an actual comic where Critical Role is like a web series or something. I had to Google both of those, but Critical Role looks like it's got a bunch of like soap opera people.
Yeah.
Like,
so you
they're
fit in
definitely
is what
not.
we're saying.
Exactly.
Josh.
We got to get
Sure,
him
he's
in
got
there.
that soap face, you know what I mean?
Yeah, he does.
soap face.
Like he had a brain transplant.
In a good way or a bad way?
Can't be a bad way. Soaps are great. I love Young and the Restless.
Let me say a line and show no physical reaction.
Gallo Lyle says, "You know that Obi-Wan show is just about a token Black Inquisitor." I don't know. I haven't checked it out. I think I'm done with the Disney Plus shows, especially. I mean, Moon Knight sounds like I just didn't enjoy it. I thought The Mandalorian season 2 wasn't very good, and I thought the whatever it was, Boba Fett was bad. So I imagined that this was going to be terrible as well. So I didn't check it out.
See, you know what's interesting is I thought Moon Knight was really slow out of the gates, but overall I thought it was a better product than anything else they've done, except maybe WandaVision. But I appreciate WandaVision because of the television history and filming history that's tied into it. But Moon Knight for me felt like it told a story from beginning to end. It didn't rely on the MCU, and it did some interesting stuff along the way. And freaking Oscar Isaacs is incredible.
So I don't know. I haven't watched the Obi-Wan show. Did any of you guys watch it?
I don't think it's aired yet. I think the trailer just dropped.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's what the speculation is. I got you. There's an Obi-Wan comic written by Christopher Can't write well right now.
Yep. Yeah. It stinks. It's terrible.
Was it bad?
Oh, it
I didn't
is?
read it.
I sold out of it and ordered more.
But
there's Star Wars people, you know.
He's also writing Angel, and I will read everything Buffy and Angel, even if it's terrible, and I still have not actually picked up that issue to read it yet. So,
there's a spammer in the chat.
Yeah, let me get rid of that person.
Hey, Yule, does is High Republic selling at all?
Is that even coming out anymore?
I have no idea.
There's a couple of series, I think.
It is. I mean, I do all the ordering. High Republic only does so well. It was really hot in the beginning, and I do get people coming in after the fact to buy it, but it's not Star Wars media books. That's what I call a media book. Only do so well for me. I'm really shocked when I hear the numbers sometimes of Star Wars and Star Trek. I actually was just telling a customer yesterday that Star Trek and Star Wars people, they don't cross usually. I sell more Star Wars than Star Trek, and only one person of all the books that I sell of all the Star Wars and all the Star Trek gets both series.
So,
It is
different
funny the
things.
way that, and because Star Wars is better, and it's just but you have to acknowledge that. The thing is with the idea of the Star Wars books, there's so many delays that it's funny that half the time you don't know if it's still coming out. And then
Right.
we're going to have more delays coming up, obviously from Marvel, but that Star Wars stuff, even when they had that huge War of the Bounty Hunters deal, it really ended up being delayed, and it's frustrating.
Yeah, it
That was
is.
a bad event.
It was.
Cal Lyle says, Yule, I've met 3 of the actors from Critical Roles. Their voice actors, the DM is Matt Mercer, who used to voice Leon Kennedy from Resident Evil.
Whoa. All right. Yeah, I mean, you know that they're actors. They're just the pretty voice actors. I feel so bad for voice actors because, as soon as like stars started getting in these movies, like a lot of people, just you can't muster up, you can't level up like a major actor. It sucks. But the voice acting isn't any better because these actors are known for their faces, and it's a shame. Sorry about that.
Cal Lyle also says, High Republic. No, it's not. It's toilet paper.
Oh,
There you go. Damn.
It's not
Yeah, and
something
it's
I would
Kevin
read.
Scott, who I don't really enjoy either. So that's one of the problems. So
I'm with you. That Titans United was okay, but
it was okay.
barely
I mean,
okay.
it was okay. It was a Titans book, and you didn't get any other real, Titans. So at least it had that, but not great. Okay.
Let's talk about some comic book recommendations and wrap this bad boy up so I can get me some food before I talk about the best comics of the week. Get ready for tomorrow.
some
Jim,
Arby's?
thank you so much for joining us,
Oh,
from
thanks.
Weird Science, and I really appreciate your perspective. Jumping in there, you were hot and heavy there for a couple times. What comic books are you recommending this week?
This week, nothing at DC. So we'll push past that. I will go with the idea, the Hulk versus Thor Banner of War, Alpha #1. I hate these titles too, because I never know what the actual thing is. Then you tag a #1 at the end. That probably is one of my favorite ones this week. And I mean, it's a dry well this week of other things. King Conan was okay if you're into Conan, I guess.
I agree
but
with you.
yeah, other than that, I mean, Captain America, Symbol of Truth #1, the whole set. It's okay, but I wouldn't say to run out and buy that. I'd wait a couple issues before I jump on that one. That What If Miles Morales stinks. I'm just going down the list here. And over at DC, Jurassic League started out, which again, the most goofiest thing ever. I was hoping it was going to be better. It was a little just kind of mediocre mid type deal, but I'll just sit with the Hulk Thor deal. That'll be my recommendation. And King Conan. There you go. Not much to recommend this week in my mind.
Anything special coming out of Weird Science via the podcast or maybe the website or anything that people should be looking out for?
Nah, we have our DC podcast every Sunday night. You just look up Weird Science DC Comics, and we have our Marvel shows where we have 2 shows. We have a Star Wars comic show and then the regular show, and then our manga stuff. Not really anything special, but just the same old. Just every week we get together and do our show.
Definitely go check that out. Also making their debut on Thinking Critical's Comics Aficionados, we got Eric O'Sullivan, the Sultan of Soup himself.
That's me.
Glad that we had you in here. Are you recommending
Thank
any
you.
comic books this week?
Sure. I've been getting my kicks checking up on old comic books. This was suggested to me by my friend Mike Alonso, who is known as Clobberin' Times as well. Got a great channel. We're talking about Alan Moore and Watchmen and the damage done. And I was like, I felt that Tom Strong was Alan Moore's way to apologize for that. And he was like, no, you got to check out 1963 on Image. And this is a 30-year-old comic book. But this is amazing. This is fun. This is everything I've wanted in a comic book and was afraid to ask. I'm having a great time reading this. And also I get to support local comic book shops by actually going in and buying stuff, which that pleases me to no end, is to just go back to the comic book store. I'm not buying Marvel. I'm not buying DC. I'm not buying IDW because of Antos. I'm not buying Image anymore because of what happened with Warren Ellis. I mean, it's just all this foolishness getting in the way of me spending my money at local comic book shops that need our business. And but yeah, I'm doing the 1963 by on Image and by Alan Moore. Great funny books.
We had two fantastic debuts here. There's a link to the Weird Science Comics YouTube channel. There's also a link to Eric O'Sullivan's YouTube channel in the video description. Eric, do you have anything special coming out on your channel? You do comic books, but you also do soup.
Yeah.
Is there going to be a chowder soon?
There will be chowder soon. It depends when Chef wants it, but you know, I make daily content. I make soup videos. I got cute little bunnies in the morning that I see on the way to work, and I do this thing a daily. It's called the 365 Days of the Golden Age of DC Comics. This stuff kind of writes itself. It's great. I open the book. We look at some art. We talk about comic books every day, and we're going to do it for the rest of the year. And it's really fun to be able to make good comic book content that's not about outrage culture. I mean, I love all the creators that I watch, but I don't want to add to the misery. I want to remember what's good about this stuff and why.
I want to elevate the misery.
Yeah. And but yeah, so yeah, please tune in, like and subscribe. Yeah, and thank you for having me on. This has been fun.
It definitely had a good time. You're obviously a retailer. What do you recommend this week? What was the big seller?
What was the big seller? Oh man, I sold out of Moon Knight, Black, White, and Blood.
Oh, why? I think there was Hickman was
There's
on that one.
Bachalo and Hickman did a thing. So I had to get more of those, but that was the thing that kind of stood out as far as what sold. But obviously, there's Hulk Banner War. I personally haven't read that one yet. I've been a little bit behind on my comic book reading. I did just read the second issue of Nightmare County by James Tynion, and it's a Sandman universe thing, and it's all about the Corinthian, the guy with the eye teeth. Mm-hmm. Very good. I really, really like this. Tynion is not always my favorite.
I hope you're ready for this first story arc to finish up in about 20 issues.
No, I think this is a mini series.
I'm just making fun of Tynion.
No, it's quite all right. I read X-Men. See, like I said, I'm behind. I read X-Men 10. This is the variant cover. It's got a cool Marvel. This was all right. I've been enjoying X-Men okay. I also started reading Duo for next week by Greg Pak.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
New entry into the Milestone universe.
But he it's a good starting, and it's like you're learning who these characters are. And then this one's for Carrie and Eric O'Sullivan. We've got Crazy Food Truck.
Ooh.
So there's a style of manga out there where they have like menus that you or preparation for stuff. There's one called Drifting Dragons where they kill dragons that are threatening areas, and then they cut up the dragon and serve it.
Ooh.
And then they have little menus, and how to prepare it. And Crazy Food Truck is this dude in a food truck in the like an apocalypse type time, and he's serving food to just himself. He doesn't have any customers, and he comes up across this woman, and there's authorities involved, and it's really good.
Very nice. We do have a request. Does anyone know of a good Wonder Woman comic for a young reader?
Legend of Wonder Woman, the digital first story from a while back, would be really good for a young reader of Wonder Woman. It's one of my favorite stories as well.
Legend of Wonder Woman. Do you have any recommendations, Jewel?
I think that most recently they did a Sensational Wonder Woman, which was kind of like a bunch of different stories throughout, and I think that would probably be a good little like they're not going to get into too many crazy things with like one issue stories with different creators, so maybe that if they can handle it, the Golden Age of Wonder Woman's really good.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to say, Josh?
No, I mean I think that's it. I know they had some young reader Wonder Woman books, but I haven't read them, so I can't recommend it in good faith. Yeah.
Do like a DC superhero girls. It's not really Wonder Woman, but there's a Wonder Woman character, and
Tiny Titans is where you go. That thing is great, but that's good for like 5 or 6 year old readers.
I love that.
Yes.
Yeah, Bruce Timm's Justice League United. I mean, I love Susan Eisenberg's Wonder Woman. It's one of the best representations of that character.
Very nice. All right, Josh, what do you recommend this week?
I'm pretty much going to echo Jim's sentiments on books for right now, but I'll say trades. There's some good trades out. King of Spies trade came out. Pick it up. Carmen by Guillaume March, the hardcover came out. Pick it up. Moon Knight Omnibus 2 by Doug Munch. Pick it up. That's better than most of what you're going to get that's releasing monthly right now.
So Drew and I will be delivering our best comics of the week tomorrow at around noon, maybe a little bit later than that. Now, I will tell you this. I don't want to tell you all the comic books that are in there. There have been a few of them that have been discussed already, but we got 5 indie comics. We've got 2 Marvel comics and 1 DC comic to recommend. So it's going to be lots of indie comics. If you like indie comics, definitely check out the show tomorrow. Thank you very much to everybody. Had a lot of fun. AL, I hope you're feeling better and you get over the flu soon. And we'll be back next week right here on the Comics Aficionados on Thinking Critical.